lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. If Sunday turns out to be Bill Belichick's last game as Patriots coach, he's not letting anyone know just yet. Amid the rumors about his future, Belichick told WEEI today he doesn't get caught up in the uncertainty, just stays focused on the present. New England caps off a third losing season in 4 years Sunday versus the Jets, which comes after comments in March by owner Bob Kraft that it was important for the team to make the playoffs. ESPN's Dan Graziano.
I don't think they've had their heart-to-heart, face-to-face about this yet, and I don't think they will until next week. So it's difficult to predict. Anytime you're trying to predict what a billionaire sports owner will do, but the people around that situation do seem to think that it feels like there's going to be a change.
ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano on Carlin versus Joe. Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett strongly denied rumors he refused to dress as the backup to Mason Rudolph against the Seahawks. He said he was inactive for the game because he wasn't medically ready to play. Pickett, coming off of ankle surgery about a month ago, will be QB2 Saturday in Baltimore.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, Lamar Jackson is the MVP, but is he also the player in the league with the most pressure to win a Super Bowl? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Happy New Year, everybody. Good to be back. See if I remember how to do this. What a busy day. Tigers finished their season on a winning note. Saints playoff hopes are alive. Makai Wingo headed to the NFL draft. Lance Hurd hitting the transfer portal. We got a ton to do, but let us start today as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
You know, around these parts, they don't really hang banners for 10-win seasons and beating a 7-5 Wisconsin team in the ReliaQuest Bowl in front of, as I understand it, the most sparse audience in the history of that bowl game. But there is a lot to take away from LSU beating Wisconsin, finishing year 2 under Brian Kelly, and looking ahead to next season. Going into this bowl game, there were 3 things that I was interested in seeing primarily. Number 1, obviously, was Garrett Nussmeier. Number 2 was how different the offense might look with Joe Sloan calling plays as opposed to Mike Denbrock. And then number 3, with a month to prepare, could this defense show any signs of life and improvement and give us any reason to believe that they might take a step toward next year, albeit against a very inept Wisconsin offense? And I think all 3 of those questions got answered pretty emphatically. Garrett Nussmeier, let's start there. Garrett Nussmeier, the game's MVP, and rightfully so. Garrett Nussmeier making his first career start, 31 of 45 for 395 yards and 3 touchdowns. He did have the interception at the end of the first half as well, but he completed nearly 70% of his passes. And we knew this was going to look different, right? You didn't have Jaden Daniels, and a gigantic part of Jaden's dynamic is his dynamic running ability. Jaden Daniels ran for nearly 1,200 yards this year. Because you were taking that element away, you knew it was going to look differently. Well, if at the end of the game you open up the box score and you see that you threw for 395 yards, you put up 500 yards of offense, and you scored 35 points, I don't care how you do it, that's going to beat a lot of teams. And on Monday, on New Year's Day, it was enough to rally and beat Wisconsin. So, look, there were times where there were issues that you kind of expect. Look, I mean, on the opening drive, he underthrew Brian Thomas on what would have been a walk-in touchdown. Late in the game, he underthrew Chris Hilton on what would have been a walk-in touchdown, where Hilton made a beautiful catch, kind of falling and made a basket catch. But twice, you were down 14 to a team that was moving the ball better than it had all year, and when you had to have it, Garrett Nussmeier came through. And it's the thing you love about having a guy that's been around, a guy that has that sort of that moxie and that swagger. It's the thing that it's always been there with Nussmeier, where he's the way that I've described it best is like whatever that thing is in Baker Mayfield that when Oklahoma beat Ohio State, he ran to the middle of the field with the OU flag and planted it in the middle of the Ohio State, logo. Like Nussmeier has that thing. He might not be the guy that grabs his crotch at the Kansas players, but Nussmeier has that, right? That ability, that sort of moxie. And you love that in your quarterback. You just want to refine it so that it doesn't cost you with turnovers, which has been a problem for Nussmeier to this point. But for the most part, protected the ball, played very, very well in that game. The Sloan piece of it is interesting because kind of what we alluded to there. And one more thing on Nussmeier, obviously, and I don't want this point to be gone before I go to Sloan. The game-winning touchdown drive, you started at your 2-yard line. You start at your 2-yard line. I mean, you were staring down 98 yards, and you're trailing in the fourth quarter, and you absolutely had to go get it. And on first down, it was incomplete. Josh Williams, 9-yard run, which got you out of the shadow of your end zone. And then Williams on 3rd and 1 gets hit behind the line, dives forward, gets that first down run, and then from there, boom, you were off and running. Hit the 37-yarder to Kyron Lacey, the deep ball to Chris Hilton that we just mentioned, and it took just 8 plays, and you went 98 yards, and you got the lead. So, yes, Nussmeier staring down 98 yards, unmoved, unfazed by it, was awesome. The Sloan piece was interesting because of what I alluded to a bit ago. You knew you weren't going to have Jaden Daniels' running ability. So think of how many times that Mike Denbrock's calling a game that you know you're going to have a package in there where you're going to have design runs for Jaden, and then there's going to be times where if a play is breaking down, Jaden's going to take off and run and probably do something spectacular. Well, because you didn't have that, you knew it was going to be nearly impossible to be 50-50 balanced in this game. Because all the times in a game where if you call a pass and Jaden takes off and runs, in this instance, Nuss is likely just going to throw it away. So Nuss finished the game with 0 rushing attempts, which also means he wasn't sacked. Big hat tip to the LSU offensive line, which did not allow a sack and only 3 TFLs. They gave Nussmeier time, and that's why he was able to throw for nearly 400 yards. But we knew it was going to look differently, with Sloan calling plays. And there were times where it was clunky, and that was to be expected. Remember, Mike Denbrock left in the middle of bowl practice. So it wasn't even like Sloan had 15 practices to get accustomed to calling plays for this offense. So there were times it was clunky, and it was far from perfect. But again, you put up 500 yards and 35 points. That is a resounding success in any way that you look at it. But your run-pass balance didn't exist. You threw the ball 45 times. You ran it 25 times. But again, look at the end result, not necessarily the path. It was just more interesting to see what the path looked like to get there. And then the third thing that I wanted to see was the defense, and could they improve? And the answer was a resounding no. This defense is atrocious. It is right there with 2020 as the worst defenses in the history of LSU football. Tanner Mordecai, his season high passing coming into Monday's game was 277 yards. He threw for 378. 100 yards more than his season average. Every game, when we talk about this LSU defense, their opponents were doing things that were season highs, all-time high, career records. That's just what every team did against LSU this year. Wisconsin averaged 22 points and 206 pass yards per game. Let me say that again. On the season, Wisconsin averaged 22 points and 206 pass yards per game. At the end of the first half, they had 21 points and 219 passing yards. They had hit their season averages in the first half against LSU. Tanner Mordecai had 6 touchdown passes all year. Let me say that again. Now, we only played 9 games because he was injured and missed 3 games. 9 games, 6 touchdown passes. He had 2 in the first quarter, 3 in the game, and he threw for nearly 400 yards. This defense is an atrocity. It is absolutely inexcusable. I understand talent-wise, you aren't where you want to be in what looks like an LSU defense. I understand that. You had some misses. You missed on Omar Spates. You missed on the corners in the portal. It was devastating that you lost Greg Brooks, not only because of the personal medical situation he's going through, but specifically from a football standpoint, he was your best communicator and your best defensive back. So I get it. Your personnel wasn't great. But the inability of this staff to coach and teach and communicate to these players what to do, to where we saw that crap for 13 games, is inexcusable. And if Brian Kelly decides to run it back with Matt House, at this point, he is putting his own future on the line by standing hip to hip in lockstep with Matt House. Because what you are saying is, I don't believe the reason we were so horrendous on defense is his fault, and I think he can fix it. And if that's the case, you better be right. Because if you're not, the next one they're coming for is you. We've seen this before. We saw it with Lou Tepper. We saw it with the Malvito experiment in 2008. We saw it with Bo Pelini. You don't get another shot when you're historically bad. We'll see what they do. Brian Kelly said they're going to start evaluating this week. There are going to be defensive staff changes. And I've gone on record, I've said that there are going to be a minimum of 2 defensive staff changes. Minimum of 2 defensive staff changes. And I think we're going to see them pretty quickly. I do want to get into, what we're going to look for with the defensive staff, but there's a couple of other things that I want to get to first. I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors decided to play in the bowl game. It meant something to him to be LSU's all-time receiving leader. He gets that record. Now is, in LSU history, the all-time leader in career receiving yards and career receptions. And to have done it in 3 years is a stunning accomplishment. Congrats to Malik Neighbors on that. I wish it didn't take me 10 minutes into this to get to that, because he deserves to be mentioned. He's going to go be a first-round pick, and I hope have a long, healthy, successful NFL career. He'll be a first-round draft pick and become wealthy beyond most people's imaginations, and he deserves it. So congrats to Malik Neighbors on that. I'm not a huge believer in using the bowl game as a launch pad into the next season. I know that's something people often say. Well, look, and there are examples of it. In 2010, LSU blew out Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. They come back 2011, had a great season. You go back to 2006. 2006, you win the Sugar Bowl. You blow out Notre Dame. You come back the next year, you win the national championship. 2018, you win the Fiesta Bowl against UCF, and then was that the springboard to 2019? Sure, but then I could look at the flip side of it when you lose bowl games. 2002, you lost the Cotton Bowl to Texas. You come back the next year, you win the national championship. Take it outside of LSU. You realize Texas last year lost the Alamo Bowl to Washington. Texas lost the Alamo Bowl last year. They came back this year, got in the playoff. I mean, just because you win or lose a bowl game doesn't necessarily have to mean anything toward the next season. But the part of this bowl game and this bowl experience, which was the most important part, was the 15 practices and the opportunity for Garrett Nussmeier to prepare as a starter and to sling it around, to have success, and to make mistakes. So now they can go before spring and say, look, here's what you did well, here's what you need to work on. On the opening drive of the game, there was a third down play where Nussmeier threw it in a double coverage downfield. He had Kyron Lacey on a shallow cross that if he just dumps it to him, Lacey turns right upfield and gets the first down easily. You keep the drive going. That's the kind of thing that with experience, film evaluation, coaching, all that, will start to settle in. And you'd rather have that to show after the ReliaQuest Bowl than make that mistake in the season opener in Vegas against USC. So this whole experience for LSU, I think, is even more valuable than 10 wins or a springboard to next season. It's the experience that you got a lot of these players to be able to carry into spring, then into fall camp, and into the 2024 season. But as I've said often, LSU today, undeniably in a better spot under Brian Kelly than they were the day he took over. Now the climb continues in 2024. Okay, it is After Further Review. Our show open every day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana. Love watching all the NFL games. See Peyton Manning and Emmitt Smith doing their Bud Light ads now. Bud Light, the official beer of the UFC now as well. And, of course, the official beer of AFR, the LSU Tigers, the New Orleans Saints. If you start the new year, you're going to be watching football, NFL playoffs right around the bend. You're going to be having people over. You always want to grab an ice-cold Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with our friends at Mockler Beverage right here. Great community partners for so many years. And, of course, Bud Light. It's After Further Review. Okay, quick break. When we come back, I'll talk a little bit about the Saints. Because, it feels like forever ago, but we haven't had a chance yet because we were off yesterday. Talk about the Saints, their win over the Bucs in the playoff scenario. So we'll get to that. A ton to get to later this hour. We'll talk about Makai Wingo, who's declared for the draft. Shay Dixon, 45 minutes from right now. We got to talk about Lance Hurd, who hit the transfer portal today as well. So we'll talk about Matt House and his future at LSU. We got a ton to do. So buckle up, stay here. 3 hours of talk straight ahead, and glad you're with us in this new year. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Glow Resources, complete employer solutions. That's Glow Resources. Check them online at glowresources.com, G-L-O, glowresources.com. You know, if part of your New Year's resolution as a business owner is to be more effective and more efficient, to be more cost-effective, in particular in the way that you hire, you need Glow Resources. Don't think of Glow Resources as a last resort when it comes to hiring. Think of Glow Resources first when you're going to hire. It's Glow Resources, G-L-O, glowresources.com. Yes, Glow Resources can handle your skilled blue-collar labor. If you need heavy machinery operators, heavy equipment operators, welders, Glow can help you. But they also have a white-collar division as well. So, New Year tax season's around the bend. If you need accounting personnel, C-level management, project managers, call centers, Glow Resources can help with all for any size business. Learn more online at glowresources.com. G-L-O, glowresources.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
The Saints take a knee, victory formation, 23-13, and that will do it as the Buccaneer fans head for the exits. Saints will go to 8-8. With one game remaining, the Buccaneers will fall to 8-8 with one game remaining.
You know, when we face some adversity, I think our guys have generally responded. So, you know, we knew our backs were against the wall, and we knew that if we didn't take care of business today, then it didn't matter what happened, you know, anywhere else. We knew that we had to win this game, and I think our guys had the mindset that we were coming in here to win, and that's what they did.
Saints play-by-play voice Mike Hoss on the call. That the voice of Saints head coach Dennis Allen as the Saints beat the Bucs 23-13, and quite honestly, it wasn't as close as the final score would suggest. This Saints team, is most likely not going to the playoffs. Let's just call it what it is. You got to beat Atlanta at home. You got to hope Carolina beats Tampa. If that happens, you win the division. If that doesn't happen, then you need both Green Bay and Seattle to lose in order to get a playoff spot. So most likely, this team is not going to the playoffs. But God, it was nice to see them put Tampa Bay in a 3-hour chokehold on Sunday. Was it not? Maybe part of that game would lead you to wonder, where has this been? Why can't they do this consistently? Because when they do play at their highest level, the Saints look like a playoff team. They look like a vaunted team that would be tough to handle. And that's what it looked like on Sunday. But it hasn't looked like that consistently enough. But when they found that, you know, when they've twisted the Rubik's Cube enough, and it looks like that, they look pretty good. They just haven't been able to look good enough times this year to put them on a path where they look like a playoff team. But the thing about this team or any team is when criticism is warranted, I'm going to give it. And when a team deserves praise, you give them their due. And the Saints deserve praise for Sunday. They were on the road. They were in a must-win situation, and I hate how people overuse must-win. Too often we say must-win when it's not a literal must-win. This was a must-win. If the Saints didn't beat Tampa on Sunday, they're not going to the playoffs. You were eliminated. You had to win to keep your playoff hopes alive. It was a must-win. You were on the road against a team who was at home, who had beaten you earlier this season, who was looking to clinch the division on their home field, and you outplayed them quite literally from the opening snap of the game. The Saints took the opening drive and went 14 plays, 73 yards, 7:56 off the clock. That was, by the way, the first time all season the New Orleans Saints have scored on their opening possession. It took till week 17, your 16th game of the season, for the Saints to score a touchdown on its opening drive, but man, was that a thing of beauty. You converted third downs, you marched right down the field, put it in the end zone, and the Saints led 7-0, and they just didn't relent. This was a day where everything worked. Man, everything worked for your team. I mentioned the opening drive. Think about in the first half, Tampa's got a third down deep in their own territory. Brian Brzee gets the sack, and unfortunately, his hand grabs Baker Mayfield's face mask. Later on that drive, it's 3rd and 15. Looks like you're getting off the field. There's an illegal contact penalty. Extends the drive. But how did that drive end? Alontae Taylor comes away with his first career interception. Beautiful play down near the goal line. And when you're down near the goal line, Juwan Johnson made that leaping, tumbling catch over the middle, which got you out of the shadow of your own goalpost and allowed you to flip the field. The Jonathan Abrams strip on the fumble on the sideline. Jonathan Abrams' interception was aided by Tano Passanio barely getting his fingertip on the football to misdirect it enough that Abram could get the interception. When it looked like Tampa late in the game might be trying to rally, they hit a deep ball to Trey Palmer, and without getting hit, Trey Palmer fumbles. Like, things went your way. You had a 3rd and 8, and you ran a fullback draw and converted. I mean, everyone in the world is thinking that on 3rd and 8 with the fullback in, he's just there to block. Nope, let's hand it to Adam Prentice. Whoop, first down. Beautiful game called by Pete Carmichael, executed by the players, and the Saints look great. I mean, the short punt at the end of the first half by Tampa. Camarda had like the 17-yard punt, whatever it was. You got the ball in a short field, and you end up converting. Blake Grupe was perfect on the day. Like, hat tip. A lot of guys who have struggled this season played their best games, and the Saints went on, and they beat Tampa 23-13. Hey, look, there is an undeniable truth. This is inarguable. Since Dennis Allen has been back in New Orleans, his defenses have dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The lone exception is the game that was in the Dome earlier this year. Derek Carr was coming off the injury at Green Bay, didn't practice all week, then played that week against Tampa, and you got punked in your own building, and it was never really close. Baker Mayfield looked like an all-pro that day. But with that one exception, when you lost 26-9, with that one exception, Dennis Allen's defenses have been the voodoo doll. They have been the kryptonite. They have been the boogeyman for the Tampa Bay offense. And it was so again on Sunday. They're down in Tampa. I know that the future is what a lot of people are concerning themselves with right now, and you're not wrong to do that. We're fans. We're fans, and we're media, and we talk hypotheticals and all that. Yeah, you're not wrong to worry about the future. The team and the coaches in the front office, they're not thinking about that right now. They're trying to think about, all right, how do we go beat Atlanta and then hope everything falls in your way. So I know that there's going to be the sentiment that, look, winning this game hurts your draft position. For whatever it's worth, Tankathon, which charts, it's a website, it charts draft order and all that sort of stuff. If you looked at it right now, the Saints draft order, right as of today in the NFL, the Saints would be picking 13th. So you're just inside of the top half of round one. And I get it. Like, if you're not going to make the playoffs, there's a sentiment to say, I'll just lose and get a better draft position. You're not wrong. Like, I don't disagree with you on that. But I want my team to make the playoffs. I mean, I know not everybody shares this opinion, but I'm not going to cheer against my team. You're going into Week 18. You could beat your rival. You need some help, but it can happen. Like, I don't know if you watched the NFL this past weekend, but Arizona went to Philadelphia and beat the Philadelphia Eagles on their home field while the Eagles were still trying to play for the division championship, which would mean a home game. And oh, by the way, the 1 seed at that time was mathematically still in play. That's gone now for Philly. San Francisco clinched the 1. It looks like Dallas is going to win that division because Philly couldn't beat the Cardinals on their home field. The Atlanta Falcons, very much in the playoff mix going into this past Sunday. They went up to Chicago and couldn't stop Justin Fields. The Bears could have completely tanked. Could have. Didn't. It would have been better for the Bears to lose that game to help their draft stock. They went and played hard and won a game. So, mathematically, the Saints are still very much alive. Do I think Carolina is gonna beat Tampa on Sunday? No, I do not. But it's the NFL, and the any given Sunday adage exists for a reason because it matters. You can still win the division. Beat Atlanta. Hope Carolina gets a win over Tampa. If that happens, you're in the playoffs. If Tampa wins, you need Green Bay and Seattle to lose. That happens, you're in the playoffs. So go win a game on Sunday, do a little scoreboard watching, and hope your team gets in the playoffs and gets to play another week. It's the NFL. I would always rather my team get in the playoffs than just hope for a better draft pick. You can get in. See if you can. And by the way, whether this team makes the playoffs or not should have no bearing on Dennis Allen's future. I know that's the big question. And the splash report Sunday morning from ESPN was that it looks like Dennis Allen's going to be back and Pete Carmichael's going to be gone. That's likely what's going to happen at this point. But even if you make the playoffs in a bad division against arguably the easiest schedule the Saints have ever seen in their history, when you're out here playing Tommy Cutlets late in the season from the Giants, I mean, everything fell your way with this schedule, and you're still just flirting with 500. Like, I'm not excusing Dennis Allen or this franchise or anything where they are, but you're going into Week 18, and you have something still to play for. It's a much better spot than most teams in the NFL as of today. So go out there, see if you can beat Atlanta, let the chips fall where they may. You worry about the offseason when you get there. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Pure Restoration. New year, and we had so much rain on Christmas Eve. My goodness. It just poured all day on Christmas Eve. If, as a result of that rain, you had water in the house, you probably have mold as well. If you have mold or think you might, call our friends at Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com. Told you for years about Mold Zero. Well, Mold Zero is now Pure Restoration. Same company. They just rebranded. It's just a new name with an expanded menu of services. They can handle demolition and build back. They have sanitization products as well. So if you're a school, you're a public building, there are some schools that annually have Pure Restoration come in and spray because there's a 1-year warranty on their sanitization product. It's amazing. Check it out. Pure-restoration.com. That's pure-restoration.com. All right, y'all. It's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Shay Dixon in 30 minutes. Sean Salsbury coming up in hour number 3. We're glad to have you aboard. We got a ton to do. So if you're hanging with us, we'll get to all of it. We are going to go around the SEC when we come back. Got to talk about the college football playoff semifinals from Monday, which were phenomenal football games. So we'll get to that. And we are going to talk give me about 15 minutes. When I come back after around the SEC, I'll talk about Makai Wingo's decision to declare for the draft. And then at the top of the hour with Shay Dixon, we'll talk about Lance Hurd, how they navigate that. And then I've also got my thoughts on it next hour as well. So we got a ton to do. And I'm glad you're here. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Tuesday. Yes, it's Tuesday. Not Monday. It's Tuesday. Tuesday over at Pluckers. You can always get on by because every Tuesday kids eat free. So moms and dads, are the kids driving you nuts? They've been out of school for a couple of weeks now. They're ripping each other's heads off. You need a night out. Go to Pluckers because you can have that night out. You can have it affordably at Pluckers. Either location, Nicholson just south of campus or Bluebonnet right in front of the Mall of Louisiana. Parents, adults, you buy the entree, kids eat free. It's that easy. Buy your entree, your kids eat for free every Tuesday at Pluckers. Nicholson or Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery. You know the drill by now. 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. Whether it's the NFL in Week 18, if it's college bowl games, the national championship game, which is now 6 days away, the NBA or any sports action, they'll have it on TV for you at Pluckers at either location, Nicholson or Bluebonnet. Pluckers, if you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
My tractor sexy, it really turns her on. She's always staring at me.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Exciting football game. I thought Wisconsin played outstanding football today. Really proud of our football team in a game where 2 teams really wanted to win the football game. There was no doubt about whether these guys wanted to be here or not. Both teams wanted to be here. Both teams wanted to win.
I couldn't hear anything he said, Muse. All I heard were the sultry tones of, what's his name, the country singer guy who sings this?
Yeah, it'd be Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney!
Yeah.
I knew that, Muse. Big country guy right here.
Yeah, I can tell.
Love me some country music. Not really at all. I hate country music, all of it. But I do love this song. Shloobity-boobity-boo, she thinks my tractor's sexy.
That is not the words.
That's close enough to it. How's your New Year, Muse?
I mean, I'll let you know it's going well so far. It's only day 2.
Your day in.
Yeah, I mean, we're early in the process here.
Paulie, how's your New Year going so far? Wait. There it is. Crank it, Muse. Yeah! It really turns me on. Her on. That's it, guys.
There we go.
She's always staring at me while chugging along. See, I nailed it, Muse. Paulie, how's your New Year? Yeah?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
You know what I like about you, Paul? How expansive you are in your commentary. How open you are always about sharing your life and details with us.
Short and to the point.
Got it. Crank it, Muse.
She thinks my tractor's sexy.
Oh, man. Feeling that, right?
It's a good one.
Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Big shout out to our friends over at Sunshine. Great year in 23 and looking forward to an even better one here in 2024. Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I got a text into the show from Richard Jackson, who said, topic to discuss one day on your show. Thank you, Rich. I need all the help I can get finding topics to talk about here on the show. Anyway, he said, there are a total of 43 bowl games scheduled. Over half the stadium's not even halfway filled for these events. Does the NCAA have a legal Ponzi scheme to make money on all these games? Richard, I would like to reiterate something that I talk about often here. And I understand not everybody can listen to every minute of every show. But this is precisely why NIL is great, transfer portal is great, an expanded playoff is great. Because this is what college football has always been. They've just pulled the wool over your eyes. Bowl games are not a reward. They're glorified exhibitions where old men in ugly blazers make money. That's all it is. And they have payouts to the schools and conferences that participate. And everybody shares in the revenue, except the players, who then put themselves at risk instead of going to make millions of dollars in the draft. Anyway, the reason, and I hear this every year, 43 bowl games, too many bowl games. The bowl games are going to go away. Look at the attendance. There are two things that matter primarily. Ticket sales, yes, ticket sales matter. But there are two things that matter primarily when you're talking about a bowl game. Number one is a TV contract. If a network is willing to pay you to put this game on television, you will have a home. And number two is a sponsorship. If you have a television contract and a title sponsorship for your bowl game, you will have a bowl game, because those are the two primary revenue generators for a bowl game. And think about how people consume TV. Muse, you watch live TV anymore? Anywhere? Like TV shows, appointment viewing, like Tuesday, 7 o'clock. I got to watch my favorite show.
No.
No. Paula, you? Anything? Wednesday,
Nope.
7 o'clock. My favorite show comes on. Got to be at home. No?
No.
Stunning, right? Because it's 2024. Nobody does that. What's the only thing that people watch live anymore? Literally, the only thing outside of like the Oscars that people watch live.
Sports.
Anybody?
Sports.
Sports. That's it. It's live sports. That's why the dollar amount of these live sports TV contracts keeps going up. Because it's the only thing people watch live anymore. So there's a premium on the value. So if you can put a game together, you're going to have a TV network that'll buy it. And if you're on TV, you're going to find a sponsor that'll sponsor it. And you get all the mentions across all the different networks as they're talking about the bowl games and online and then betting and all that sort of stuff. So bowl game, it don't matter if there's 6 people in the stands. Remember that Popeyes Bahamas Bowl a few years ago? And there were like probably 100 people. Can we find a picture of that? Do you remember? And it was the wackadoo game. Was Central Michigan in that?
I think it was Central Michigan. I want to say it was 2018. I want to say. I could be very wrong on that.
Get me a stadium shot of that Popeyes Bahamas Bowl when there were like 8 people. I mean, there were, I believe, literally fewer than 1,000 people. Like attendance was in the hundreds. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If you put it on TV, you have a sponsor, you're going to have a game. So bowls aren't going anywhere. Okay, it is After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. So look, man, Popeyes Bahamas Bowl, you could sit front row. It doesn't matter if you can see or not. But man, a game like last night, how about that? Texas and Washington. What if you were sitting in the rafters? So all you could do was just get in. And everybody looked like little dots on the field. Not if you called my friend Dr. Blake Williamson, the Williamson Eye Center. He'll give you superhuman vision. That's right. The Williamson Eye Center, no matter your age or your refractive issue, if you want to see 20/20 or better than 20/20 like I do, call the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020. Let your New Year's resolution be that you're not going to go another year or another day squinting to see the bottom line on the TV or street signs. You're not going to go another day shoving contact lens into your eyes or reaching for your readers. Call the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Dallas Turner said it was his final game in the Rose Bowl against Michigan. Quote, "I'm gone, ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it." That pretty much tells you the story. Dallas Turner is expected to be a first-round pick come April. Tide, of course, lost to Michigan 37-31.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
And that wasn't the final score. It was 27-20. Did they print the wrong score on here? Yeah, they printed the wrong score at ESPN.com.
Yikes.
For shame. It's not like they had the game or anything. Zion Logue declared for the 2024 NFL Draft. Signed with Georgia as a member of the 2019 class. Played all 14 games this year. Has been a valuable piece across that defensive line. Georgia's now had 9 players declare for the draft.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
KJ Jefferson. Going to be a Golden Knight. He's committed to UCF. 1 season of eligibility remaining. It'll be his 6th in college. Of course, 5 seasons at Arkansas. He'll take advantage of the COVID year and go down and ride the Gus bus there with Gus Malzahn and that spread offense in 24.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn quarterback Sawyer Pate is hitting the transfer portal with 2 years of eligibility remaining. He was a 3-star coming out of high school when he went to Auburn, but it's Peyton Thorne, Holden Gerner, Hank Brown, and then 4-star signee Walker White, who are all vying for snaps there on the Plains. Robbie Ashford also hit the portal earlier this December.
Texas A&M!
And A&M reserve linebacker Geronte Davis has entered the portal, 6'1", 235, transferred to A&M ahead of the 2023 season, but due to redshirting this year, mostly because of injury, which knocked him down the depth chart, Davis preserved his final year of eligibility. I went down with an injury in the season opener, really hurt his chance to get on the field. A&M has lost 17 scholarship players to the portal. Okay, there you have it. That is around the SEC. This is After Further Review. We are glad to have you aboard. We'll knock out a quick break. When we come back, I'll wrap up the hour with some thoughts on Makai Wingo declaring for the draft. Shay Dixon in 16 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Happy New Year from Gordon and all our friends over at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know, it's been more than 30 years now that Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys has been helping injured people in the state of Louisiana. If that's you, don't go at it alone. Get Gordon and get it done. I've shared these numbers with you before, but it's worth mentioning because you never know when you need to hear the message. More than 10,000 Louisiana residents they've represented. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys has recovered more than $2.6 billion in damages for their clients. If you've been injured in an accident and it's not your fault, you need representation, get Gordon and get it done. Of course, you can always call 888-8888. That's 888-8888 or online at getgordon.com. That's getgordon.com. Happy New Year from our friends Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
10 pounds of sugar in a 5-pound sack, a Hollywood looker and a John Deere cap.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. With the LSU season ending in the ReliaQuest Bowl with a win, we're expecting this week we'll start to get all of the draft declarations. The players that are staying, the players that are going, certainly some portal news as well. But the first player to announce that he is headed to the NFL draft and foregoing his remaining eligibility is defensive tackle Makai Wingo. Released a statement on social media earlier today. Thank Coach Jamar Cain and Pat Hill and Coach Steeples, Robert Steeples, who was a high school coach of Makai Wingo. Is a big reason why Wingo ended up in Baton Rouge coming out of the transfer portal. Thank Eli Drinkwitz, who coached him at Missouri, and Brian Kelly, who brought him to Baton Rouge. But Makai Wingo did declare that he is foregoing his remaining eligibility and headed off to the NFL draft. A couple things. First, congrats to Makai Wingo. This is a guy who started his college career at Mizzou, and when he came to LSU, he was relatively unheralded. Remember the circumstance that allowed Makai Wingo really to emerge in all of our awareness, and it was Mason Smith's injury. Going into the 2022 season, we weren't talking about Makai Wingo. We weren't. Going into that season, we were talking about how dominant Mason Smith was in camp and how this was going to be his time to break out. And then Mason Smith gets injured on the opening defensive series, and your rotation became basically three guys: Jaquelin Roy, Jacobian Guillory, Makai Wingo. And Makai Wingo was a third-team All-American by the Associated Press, a guy who, going into last season, was an afterthought as a transfer and ended up earning everybody's attention and respect, playing 90-some-odd% of the defensive snaps a season ago and earning third-team All-America honors. After that, coming into this season, a transfer who had played just one season in Baton Rouge ends up getting one of the greatest honors that a player at LSU can get, and that's the 18 jersey. As a matter of fact, here was Brian Kelly talking about the decision to give Makai Wingo the 18 jersey.
For that person to wear 18, he's got to have the leadership capabilities. He's got to represent incredible traits and somebody that really is going to wear that jersey both on and off the field and representing LSU football. And that number 18 went to Makai Wingo. I'm really proud of him.
So think about it. A guy who came here relatively unheralded, injury forces him into the lineup, becomes a third-team All-American, comes back into this season, gets the 18 jersey, plays with an abdominal injury that none of us really knew about, ends up having to have surgery before the Alabama game, thought he might come back. The season didn't go how you'd hoped, so nobody would have blamed him. He comes back to play in the bowl game, gets the sack on 3rd and 10, which gave LSU the ball before its ultimate game-winning drive, and now he's off to the NFL draft, returning for the bowl game. Another reason, like, major hat tip to Makai Wingo. Giant question about his draft stock, which everybody's going to make their own decision. But I did a little digging today. Mel Kiper ranks Makai Wingo as the 10th best defensive tackle prospect in this year's draft. CBS has him as the 7th best defensive tackle prospect in this draft. NFL Draft Buzz has him as the 14th best defensive tackle. Pro Football Focus didn't have a position grade, but had him as the 63rd overall prospect. By and large, he's ranked as a late second-round pick. So you might look and say, why not come back and be a first-round pick? Maybe, but everybody's got their own decision to make. But Makai Wingo is pretty much a consensus day 2 pick in the draft, and you wish him well. He gave LSU his all for 2 seasons, and you respect the effort and what he did. The gigantic question for LSU now is what you look like on the defensive line, because this is pretty devastating. Your 2 best defensive linemen this year were Jordan Jefferson, who's out of eligibility, and Makai Wingo, of course, who was injured, came back, and now he's leaving for the draft. You're waiting to hear decisions from Mason Smith and Jacobian Guillory. You desperately want those guys to come back so you have veteran, experienced starters on your defensive line. After that, you've got Jalen Lee and Paris Shan. Shan played inside and out, and Lee was a rotational guy that didn't play much this year. You're bringing in Sean Washington, Dominic McKinley, and Demiron Johnson. But remember, you lost a bunch of your young depth. Ty G. Hill, Bryce Langston, Fitzgerald West. I'm not telling you these guys that you're losing All-Americans, but you're losing guys who had been your young depth that would be next to step up. But those guys left, and now Makai Wingo's gone, and Jefferson's out of eligibility. So if you get Smith and Guillory back, awesome. If you get Smith and Guillory, you've got your starters there, and then you're looking behind them with some of the young guys that we just talked about. Sean Washington, who's coming in from JUCO, Dominic McKinley, who's a 5-star. You've got I mentioned Lee and Shan. You've got enough numbers. But if Smith and Guillory decide to go pro, defensive line isn't there's there's wants, there's needs, and there's musts. If with Makai Wingo gone and Jordan Jefferson out of eligibility, if you don't get Mason Smith and Jacoby and Guillory back, defensive tackle, interior defensive line isn't a want or need. It is a must bold underscore, because you cannot go into next season with Jalen Lee, Parrish, Shan, Sean Washington, and then a bunch of freshmen. Like, you just can't do that in the SEC against the schedule LSU's got to play and expect it to go well. Hat tip salute to Makai Wingo, a great Tiger, and thankful for the 2 years that we got to see him wear the purple and gold. And totally respect his decision. But now, because of him leaving, it makes Mason Smith and Jacoby and Guillory's decisions even more critical for LSU. You got to get those guys back. And if you don't, you had better go hammer the portal hard this spring. Okay, it's after further review. Shay Dixon is going to join us when we come back next. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Big week for recruiting, so we're going to get to that with Shay Dixon from On 3 the Bengal Tiger. That's coming up here in hour number 2. Sean Salsbury will be here to start hour number 3 as well. We're glad you're with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR presented by Sunshine.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana, Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. If you want to look and feel like your younger self, how about that? New Year's resolution to look and feel younger, to get in shape, to feel better. They can help at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Maybe you're trying to get into the gym, but you're not having success. You're not burning fat. You're not building muscle. A big part of that is our body just not producing hormones as we age the way we did our bodies when we were younger. It's a natural part of aging. But you can reverse that process with hormone replacement therapy. Let this be part of your New Year's resolution. Go visit with Dr. Todd Howell at the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate for hormone replacement therapy to help you look and feel like your younger self. Online, theantiagingclinics.com, theantiagingclinics.com. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett today gave his side of the story regarding a report that said he refused to dress as Mason Rudolph's backup for Sunday's game against the Seahawks. Pickett explained he was inactive because he wasn't cleared to play from ankle surgery and that he will be QB2 to Rudolph Saturday against Baltimore. With Rudolph's solid play the last 2 games, Pittsburgh remains in playoff contention going into Week 18. ESPN NFL analyst Andrew Hawkins.
He's thriving in it because he understands, hey, my job and my opportunity is to go out here and just find the plays. He's been doing that at a high level. I don't know how long he can sustain it, and I'm not saying he's the answer going forward, but what he's doing is nothing short of amazing, and you can see that in the play of the guys around him because he's lifted their play as well.
Andrew Hawkins. Amid questions about his future and whether Sunday's regular season finale will be his last one as Patriots coach, Bill Belichick said on WEEI he's only focused on the present and getting ready for the Jets. He added he had no big announcement to make, joking he'd have to take to Twitter or MyFace so everybody could see it. Patriots about to cap off their first last-place AFC East finish since 2000.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, Lamar Jackson is the MVP, but is he also the player in the league with the most pressure to win a Super Bowl? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Sean Salsbury, 1 hour from right now. Do you want to talk about Derek Carr? He's had a pretty impressive last month. We'll delve into that. Also, I got lots of thoughts on Lance Hurd hitting the transfer portal and what's ahead for LSU, but that's where we'll actually start this hour. Tuesday, we have a chance to visit with our buddy Shay Dixon from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. He's with us now. Shady, Happy New Year, man. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year, Matt. Yes, everyone's been asking me all day about Lance Hurd. I figured that's what you would do, but if you're going to go off on it, please, I'll just sit here. I'd love someone else to talk about it.
Lord knows I have a lot of thoughts, and I've never been one to bite my tongue, Shay, so I got a lot to say, and we'll get to that. But let me just start there with your thoughts and what you can tell us about Lance Hurd hitting the portal.
I mean, I'm not surprised, given when I was down in Tampa, he was not with the team, and I put that news out that he did not make the trip, and the more I dug around, it became clear that, for whatever reason, on Lance's side, and I'm sure there's a lot of varying degrees or pockets of kind of the argument you could sit on here, but he stayed back, did not travel with the team, and Brian Kelly, when we asked him, he said, hey, look, he came out and said it. He didn't kind of dance around it. He said he's at home contemplating his future with our program, and we'll talk to him after the bowl game. I'm focused on guys that are bought in right now. And They got home last night from the bowl, and today Lance Hurd is officially in the portal. So clearly the discussions did not last very long, and I'm not shocked by it. I've heard different people say different things. I'd say when I put together little bits and pieces from everybody I've spoken to that I trust, is that he wants to play offensive tackle and really left tackle. And right now they have a left tackle in Will Campbell, and they've got a right tackle in Emory Jones. And I've heard a lot of people say, and I can agree, looking at it from the outside, that, oh, well, it made sense that you would kick, Emory Jones from right tackle inside, and then you would play Hurd at right tackle, and then you would eventually move Hurd to left tackle. And that sounds all great and good, but I trust that Brad Davis stuck with the same five on the O-line for a reason, and we don't know right now what Miles Frazier is going to do, what Garrett Dellinger is going to do, and those are two of your starting guards. So clearly there was a reason Hurd didn't get on the field this year beyond the one start that Emory Jones kind of rested up before Bama, and that's because they felt they had the five best O-linemen. And I'll kind of wind up my train of thought of, yes, you're losing a valuable piece of offensive tackle, a former five-star, losing a kid. He's played in SEC school, so all of those are not good things. But if there was ever a time for me to tell LSU fans, hey, don't jump off a cliff here because you finally got a five-star offensive tackle, it would be now, when Brian Kelly's your head coach, and he was known at Notre Dame for, as much as anybody, turning out really elite and developing really elite offensive linemen towards the NFL. And then I look at what Brad Davis has done in 3 years here, and he was one of the guys that brought in Lance Hurd and Will Campbell and Emory Jones, and now in this class a five-star in Weston Davis and another top 100 offensive tackle in Ethan Callaway. And I really feel personally, I've followed LSU recruiting and covered it since the early 2000s. I don't want to date myself too much, but a long time ago. And I can't remember a stretch that they've recruited the offensive line this well in 3 straight years of recruiting classes. So if there was ever a time that this was going to happen with the portal, I'm not surprised it's happening now. They are not shallow on talented offensive linemen, and that's a good problem to have, but again, a problem that sometimes when kids say, hey, I want to play immediately, they're going to leave because the portal allows you a one-time free transfer.
Yeah. Shay, if there's good news from the weekend, it's that LSU did flip Dominic McKinley, the five-star defensive lineman, number one player in Louisiana, from Acadiana. How did they do it?
Buckled in relationships. I can't lie that Elijah Robinson going to Syracuse from Texas A&M as the D-line coach to the DC at Syracuse didn't help. It certainly did. The staff shakeup at A&M and Jimbo gone certainly helps. But in the end, this is a kid from Acadiana who I always thought, like whenever Ohio State got brought up, it was like, no, that's too far from home. This is a kid who's very much about family, about his family. His younger brother is a sophomore at Acadiana right now. I think the ability for his mom to be able to drive, his parents be able to drive and see, one son on Friday night there at Acadiana and another on Saturday play college football and do it on the same weekends is a factor that plays into it. And really, look, when Frank Wilson and Brian Kelly went in home with him in December, I talked to his mom for a while the next day, and I had not sensed that LSU had made any sort of real movement until then, at least in my mind. I could tell that in-home visit really stood out. So I think they just buckled in, Matt, and they needed defensive linemen, defensive tackles. Obviously, Makai Wingo goes pro today. We hear that news. So that was the best way they could ring in the new year, was getting him not to sign early, because we signed early. He was likely going to A&M and say, hey, wait till February. And just a few weeks later, he says, I'm done with it. I'm ready to go ahead and commit to LSU. And I'll bring this full circle now. I remember in July when everybody freaked out and said, Gabe Relaford, or right after that into September when Dom McKinley announced the two best, highest-rated defensive linemen in the state were both committed to A&M. And everyone said, this is unacceptable. This can't happen. You've got to lock down the state. Don't tell me Brian Kelly's locking down the state and the staff. And then at the same time, I look at a commit list and of the state, and the two best D linemen, highest-ranked guys, are going to an SEC rival. But those guys, Gabe Relaford already signed with LSU and flipped from A&M, and then now you get Dom McKinley on board as a five-star who flips over to LSU. So kudos to the staff, man. They continue to just go after it. And this was one that I could tell you a few months back I wasn't sure was going to happen. But I think that's a testament to what they were able to do on the recruiting trail by just continuing to just keep on digging.
He's on Twitter at Shay Dixon, on 3, the Bengal Tiger. So they get McKinley. Running back Harlem Berry set to announce. Shay, is it tomorrow that he's going to announce here on Wednesday?
It is. It's 10 years to the day that Leonard Fournette at the Under Armour game announced his decision on 5 for 5 day, as everyone would maybe remember it as. But
or 2 for 5 day?
The 2 for 5 day. But those two ended up being top 5 picks, I guess, him and Fournette and Jamal Adams.
It worked out. It worked out okay.
Worked out. And the other 3 guys didn't get drafted. Not that I'm looking back on it and now remembering and trying to make myself feel better about picking all 5 to LSU. But, yes, that
you
was...
weren't the only one, bro.
That was a rough day for me. But, yes, that 10 years to the day, he's now Harlem Berry, another 5-star out of the New Orleans area that plays running back, that's ranked as the number 1 running back, that is being recruited by Frank Wilson. All of those things line up with exactly how Leonard Fournette was a decade ago. And my pick is on Harlem Berry to end up at LSU. He's phenomenal. He is so good, Matt. Jamal Charles would be a comp you could throw out in terms of his running style and the type of player he is. And I think it's just going to be another domino that drops that for this 2025 class. Don McKinley is a senior in high school, so he'll be on the team next year. And he's Harlem Berry is a junior, so he's still got some time to go. But this 2025 cycle, LSU has a realistic shot to finish with the number 1 class. And I'll point it out right now. And Brian Kelly and the staff's first 2 full cycles on the recruiting trail, they finished with the number 5 class last year. And right now they have the number 4 class on our rankings on 3. On the industry rankings, it's sitting right around 6 or 7, I believe. But depending on how they finish up in February, you're looking at back-to-back top 5 classes in the first kind of full seasons they've had to go out and recruit. And that's exactly what you're asking for. And I think now you can look at 2025, you get a guy like Harlem Berry in and others who could follow, and you have a realistic shot to beat out Bama, Georgia, Ohio State, and have the number 1 recruiting class in America.
Shay, 25 is obviously going to be very exciting, but you're right about how they finish here in February. Are there other players or positions to keep an eye on for the February signing date?
Yeah, the one guy that we're still watching is also a 5-star. He's also committed to A&M, is Terry Bussey, and he's been on the radar for LSU for a long time now. He's already made his official visit to LSU, and he did not sign in December. He, much like McKinley, said, hey, I want to wait and see what A&M looks like, and at the same time go ahead and visit some other schools. Bussey will wait and do that. McKinley went ahead and popped for LSU. Bussey's going to visit LSU, Bama. I think there's a number of teams that he has said he's going to go check out in January and go back to A&M with the new staff, and then he will make it final then. He's an athlete. They like him at DB. That is where they need him the most. He can play really any position. He's about as good as it gets in terms of that athlete label, and we'll see how it goes, man, because I don't want to count LSU out here after they have flipped now 4 A&M commitments into their class, all of them being very highly ranked guys, including a 5-star in Don McKinley. So still a month away from knowing what that answer is, but boy, they have picked up some steam now that they have started to kind of chip away at that A&M class and have yet to lose anyone to A&M, but they sure have gained a few pieces.
Shay, last thing, what about the portal? That I know your feeling all along has been that they would sign single-digit players in the portal, and that's looking apropos. They're at 3 right now. Are there other positions or targets in the portal for LSU right now?
Yeah, I would point position most because target is a funny thing. They'll be after a guy and then suddenly, he ends up elsewhere. Or, and this is, I don't even think it's tampering. I think it's just a reality of knowing what's out there and what the buzz is around guys. As the window closes this week for the portal, there's guys that could go in that I know that teams have heard about and certainly would be on. But
sure.
I would point to corner as being one. They've already got a safety in Jordan Gilbert, and then I look at defensive tackle. And I know I just talked about them getting a 5-star, but you look at what Makai Wingo did for this program as a transfer. You look at what Jordan Jefferson did for this program as a transfer defensive tackle. You've got Makai Wingo going pro. Great for him. We don't know what Mason Smith will do yet. That's the other piece to this because he was your other starter at DT. But I definitely know that defensive tackle is a position that they are looking at and saying, hey, how can we go out there and get a guy or two that can help us?
Shay Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Shay, you're the best. We appreciate it, man. Happy New Year. Thanks again for the time.
Yeah, now I'm just going to have to sit and listen to the whole show for the Lance Hurd and I don't know if you're going to go which direction, but I'll just listen, and then I'll
it's coming
take it from there.
It's coming in about 15 minutes. I'll talk about Derek Carr next, and then we'll come back to Lance Hurd. Kind of flip-flop. LSU Saints, LSU Saints, kind of go back and forth a little bit there. All right. Thanks, Shay.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, Matt.
All right, we'll see you. That's Shay Dixon. It's AFR. Brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Man, we had an awesome year in 2023. Was on a year-end call with all the Hudco partners last week, and humbled and thrilled by all the success we've had and how many of you have trusted us with your home. Literally the thing that protects your home, your roof. Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. No matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, Hudco started up in Bossier 20 years ago. They're in the 318 statewide now. Got an office in Lafayette as well, so our audience on ESPN 1037 Lafayette, 1041 Lake Charles. Love to give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. If you got issues with your roof, do business with someone you know. That's me, that's Terrio, that's our whole team over at Hudco. HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Go to the website, fill out the form on the homepage. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com. All right, it's after further review. Sean Salsbury in 45 minutes. Excited to have Sean here. We have Sean for just one segment today. Normally two on Tuesdays, but Sean just one segment today. We haven't even gotten, to tell you how jam-packed today is, we haven't even gotten to the college football playoff semifinals yet. Those two dramatic, incredible football games, but we'll get there. And as Shay mentioned, I will give you my thoughts on Lance Hurd in about 15 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a break. We'll come back. Maybe I'll give you a thought on the college football playoff semifinals when we come back. But I do want to talk about Derek Carr because Dennis Allen made some interesting comments in the postgame about the job Derek Carr has done in the last month. And it's maybe we're taking a look to say, is that something that can be translatable moving forward? So we'll get to that. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Stick around here. It's AFR.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout out. Presented by Darren James, brokered by LPT Realty.
I love sharing these reviews from Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. Because when you work with Darren, you're working with the best. Here's a 5-star review that came in. Darren did an excellent job. Very helpful. Always available. Communication was outstanding. I would recommend Darren James to anyone. I thought our house would take a long time to sell, but we had a contract within a month. Can't say enough. Darren is the best. Another 5-star review for Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. That's right. New year, new home for Darren James. LPT Realty, in 1 year, went from 0 to 6,000 agents, the fastest growing real estate company ever. Learn why. Call Darren James, 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
John Deere, there are a whole lot of boys like you around here. Wanna hear love songs in my ear.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Appreciate our friends over at Sunshine. Great year in 2023 with them, and really looking forward to 2024. Not just tractors, of course, but also zero-turn mowers. If you need that gator hunting season, our friends at Sunshine can help. Sunequip.com. Sun, S-U-N, sunequip.com for Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Glad to have you aboard with us. Man, what a busy weekend. It's great to be back. I realized it was like, I think, 11 days between shows. It was 2 Fridays ago that I was here. The last Friday before Christmas was out all last week. We were off yesterday for New Year's Day. But glad to be back here, and just a ton of meat on the bone as we get into all of it. If you're just joining us live, we opened up the show with thoughts on the LSU-Wisconsin game, the Saints and the Bucks. Makai Wingo, we covered all that in hour one. If you missed it, Makai Wingo declared for the draft. Shay Dixon with us here just in the last segment, talk some recruiting. As today, the 2nd, is the day that the portal window closes. Just as a reminder, players, you have to put your name into the portal in this window. You don't have to pick a school. You can pick a school whenever, at any point. But you have to put your name into the portal in this designated window. So today's the last day. So we'll know if there are any other players from LSU entering the portal and what players are in that pool that might still be, potential targets for LSU out of the portal after today. And then, as a reminder, there's a spring portal window as well. So the LSU roster for next year is far from decided. Just a long way to go till we get there. But today is one of those sort of benchmark days where you'll know who is returning, and who will at least be here in spring before you look ahead to 2024. All right, it is after further review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. The Saints beat the Bucs on Sunday, 23-13, and Derek Carr had a very efficient day in that game. And he was 24-32, 197 yards, couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, had a QBR of 88.9, his rating of 111.1. That's the kind of day that you need from Derek Carr. I don't need Derek Carr to go throw for 400. I don't need the Emperor. What I need is the guy. You go ahead, hit it. Why not? Let's start it. On your feet, Paulie. Show some respect to His Highness. But the Emperor on Sunday, he was not. He was efficient, and he was good, and exactly what the Saints needed. And the Saints are 3-1 in their last 4. And in those 4 games, across that span, Derek Carr has thrown for 853 yards, 10 touchdowns, just 2 picks. That's over the last 4 games. So half an interception and more than 2 touchdowns per game on average. 2.5 touchdowns and a half an interception. He's been efficient and good over that stretch. Dennis Allen kind of gave a little bit of an opinion as to why.
I think he's
feeling a little bit better. Obviously he's had a couple of, things that have kind of nagged him throughout the season. And I think he's probably, nobody's 100% healthy this time of year, but I think he's closer to that now than maybe where he was, a month and a half ago. So yeah, I think he's been performing, much better over the last, call it month or 6 weeks of the season. And I think a lot of that is health related.
I think that's a completely legitimate, salient argument. I'm not even going to rip that apart. I remember back in 2010, the year after the Super Bowl, only after that season did we learn that Drew Brees was dealing with playing with a damaged MCL. There was the year Brees had the oblique injury that we didn't know. A lot of times people are talking about Brees always losing his touch or his arm strength downfield. Now, late in his career, that was obviously a problem, but I'm talking, in that 10, 11, 12 range, where Brees was dealing with injuries we didn't know about until after the season. Now, we know Derek Carr had the sprained AC joint. He's been concussed a couple of times. So, yeah, I think being healthy clearly is going to help you play better. The other part of it is you played Carolina, the Giants, the Rams, and the Bucs. Carolina's 2-14. The Giants are 5-11. The Rams are 9-7. It's the only team with a winning record. And then Tampa's 8-8. So it helps that you played a bunch of average to bad football teams. Now, for what it's worth, of all those teams, the best defensive team you played was Carolina. I don't know if you know this, but Carolina is third in the NFL in total defense. Now, maybe that's in part because a lot of teams just don't need to do much because Carolina can't score. But Carolina is third in total defense. The Rams are 19th. The Bucs are 25th. And the Giants are 28th. So you also played a lot of bad teams. The best team you played, the Rams, that was a pretty terrible day for Derek Carr. Remember, you beat the Giants, and that's when Dennis Allen stood at the podium and said that, since none of you are going to ask me about it, I think the quarterback played pretty well today. Well, a week later, you go out to the West Coast, you play the Rams, who's the best team of this 4-game stretch, and that was a true emperor of empty yards game where you were down 30-7 in the fourth quarter, and you rallied with 2 late touchdown drives to make it look better, and you look at the final stat line of 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick, and you go, well, wasn't Derek Carr's fault. Yeah, it was. He was terrible that day, and the Rams basically had it in the bag, and then the emperor of empty yards did what he does, and he threw for a lot of yards late. You don't stand for His Highness, Paulie. Off with your head. Anyway, but as I've said with Derek Carr, I will give credit where credit's due and praise when it's warranted and criticism when it's warranted. And Derek Carr on Sunday against the Bucs was efficient and good. If you could get that performance from Derek Carr 17 times, you've won this division already, going away. The problem is you don't get that every week. And I'm not going to say that health isn't a factor because I think it is. I think that that's a very legitimate point that Dennis Allen made. It's also a 4-game sample in a 10-year career. And this is the point that I have made, will continue to make about Derek Carr. There are absolutely going to be days where he plays very well because he's a talented, capable guy who's played a lot of football. And yes, there's going to be days where Derek Carr goes out there and spins it and looks good. But there's also going to be days that look like he did against the Rams. And this is the definition. It's been the point I've made all season. This is the definition of a bad football team. A bad football team is an inconsistent football team, or an inconsistent football team is a bad football team, however you want to say it, chicken or the egg. But this is, the Saints went win-win, loss-loss, win, loss-loss, win-win, loss-loss-loss, win-win, loss-win. Bad football teams don't consistently string together wins. And that's been Derek Carr's MO his entire career as a starting quarterback. So, yes, you can zoom into this 4-game sample and say, man, he's looked pretty good this last month. And he has, with the exception of the game against the Rams, who incidentally is the best team you played. But he has looked good the last month. But now pull out and look at the big picture, and you could say, yeah, that was good, but I got a 10-year sample that tells me what he is, which is an average quarterback. Ask yourself this. Do you believe Derek Carr is a championship quarterback? You know the answer to that question. It's okay to be honest. And by the way, whenever I say this, most of the pushback I get is, Man, but it ain't just Derek Carr. And you're right. You're right. I'm conceding that to you. This team has issues that are far beyond Derek Carr. Dennis Allen, not a good head coach. I think I've been pretty clear in that criticism. You don't have to wonder where I stand on Dennis Allen as a head coach. Great defensive coordinator, terrible head football coach. Pete Carmichael, man, he stinks. It's a play calling. Yes. Sneaky Pete has had a really rough year. It's not gone well. Objectively true. Man, but they're old. Yes, they're the oldest roster in the NFL. All of that is very true. Some of you talk about the terrible offensive line. What if I told you that the Saints have actually allowed the second fewest sacks this season? Would you believe me? The 49ers have allowed 31 sacks this year. The Saints have allowed 32. Second fewest number of sacks allowed in the NFL this year. So that's one where perception don't exactly jive with reality. The offensive line, at least in pass protection, has been much better this year than what the perception is. But all that can be true. The two are not mutually exclusive. This team can be flawed and have a lot of issues, which it does. And Derek Carr can still be an average at best quarterback, which a 10-year sample size has shown us. For whatever it's worth, there was a new study out. This popped up in my inbox today. One of the gambling websites graded the head coaches in the NFL based on a variety of factors. Winning percentage, average division finish, a lot of different variables as well. And the least successful head coach in the NFL, fifth least effective, Todd Bowles, Matt Eberflus, Jonathan Gannon, Mike McDaniel, incidentally, second least effective head coach. And number one on the list, the least effective head coach in the NFL, Dennis Allen. It's an objective metric. I'm with you. Dennis Allen's not a good coach. But you can acknowledge as well what Derek Carr is. They're going to run it back, though. Certainly looks like it. Report from CBS over the weekend. Looks like Derek Carr and Dennis Allen will be back. Barring something dramatically unforeseen, they'll probably make a change at OC with Pete Carmichael. And we'll just live in this perpetual state of mediocrity for another season before, hopefully, this organization will make a change. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Happy New Year. I love this graphic that they had mocked up. They put it on Facebook. It's basically Times Square in New York, but it's all purple and gold for Relief Windows colors. And everything, like all the video boards and everything, is all Relief Windows logos. It's a pretty cool graphic. Check it out on their Facebook page or their Instagram. They're at Relief Windows, of course. But more importantly than fun graphics or whatever it may be is if you need windows, doors, siding, or shutters, you need the best. You need Relief Windows. Energy efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank and vinyl siding. They do it all. They do it better than everyone, and they guarantee your satisfaction. They will never, at Relief Windows, never take $1 from you until they're finished and you are thrilled with the work they've done. That's Relief Windows. Experience, quality, and service, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Okay, y'all. It's after further review. Happy New Year to everybody who's just jumping aboard with us here. Maybe a lot of you back to the grind today, as am I. First day working in almost 2 weeks, but excited to be back in the chair. It's a good indicator that you love what you do when you take nearly 2 weeks off and you just can't wait to get back to work, which that was the case for me today, and a lot to talk about. Let me knock out a break. When we come back, Lance Hurt, former 5-star offensive tackle. He hit the transfer portal. Shay Dixon talked about it just a bit ago at the start of this hour. I'll give you my thoughts on it when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
Love telling you about River City's 1 hour air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Woke up this morning, it was 36 degrees. And I didn't even realize how cold it was until I went outside to go work out at 5:30 this morning. Okay, maybe that was a little bit of a humble brag. I probably shouldn't have said that. But anyway. But the reason was because it was so nice and toasty in our bedroom. Because our heater's in tip-top shape, courtesy of River City's 1 hour air. If you have an issue with your heater, especially during these cold weather months, don't chance it. Funny noises, funny smells, don't risk it. If you haven't had your heater and that system checked, make sure you call River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com. Just sort of keep your eye open as you drive around. You drive around town, you will see the big yellow vans and trucks with the giant clock on the side everywhere. Because your friends and neighbors do what I do. They trust River City's 1 hour air. 752-0001, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Hey, look what I found! The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport.
I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed. Time for myself. We found our why. Have you found yours?
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
His name was King. He had a horse.
I got friends with tractors. They'll grow your groceries, haul a load, pull you out, then fix the road. They're good at slowing speeders down when they pass through.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Now, I got friends with tractors, too. Actually, old Terrio took me and Drew on one of his, we called it a big golf cart. Big side-by-side that he had. John Deere, you better believe it. Went out to Terrio. Terrio got me to his hunting property. How about
Did you shoot anything?
Hell no. I just had Drew. We rode around on the side-by-side for like 10 minutes and then left.
Oh.
I mean, it was just like I just needed an outing for Drew.
That's a pretty good one.
I think I was going to sit up in a stupid deer stand and wait for a deer to walk by and shoot it.
Yeah, probably not, actually.
I mean, hunting. You're not hunting. You're sitting and shooting in a climate-controlled box with a giant gun with a scope on it. You ain't hunting. You know it was hunters? When the Indians would like sneak up on a buffalo.
Yeah.
They used an arrowhead that they whittled out of rock and stone and whatnot. That's hunting. I respect the hell out of that. Now, all you who go sit up in stands and shoot things that I get to eat, I'm very appreciative. I'm very appreciative. Just don't brag to me about it. That's all. Okay. Oh, Muse. You wait till you see my email and text line in about 10 minutes. They're gonna be on me after that. You don't know what it's like.
Oh, because of the hunting. Okay, I was like, what happened? What did I miss?
Yeah.
What did I miss?
The hunters. Yeah, no doubt.
Gotcha.
We had to put paint on my face. It was sitting in a stand. Stupid. hunting. You're sitting and shooting is what you're doing. Right? You're sitting and waiting. I mean, you even have, like, fences around the property. You got cameras to know where they are, what time they're coming. Now, you know what would be legit? If you sat there all day for weeks and weeks and weeks waiting to learn their patterns. That's something. Not putting up a camera.
Well, I mean, you evolve with the times.
I get it.
I mean, you have cameras now. You can use them.
I get it. Just don't brag about it.
Okay.
Just don't brag about it. Please shoot it so I can eat it. Please. I'm fully endorsing that. Just don't brag to me about what you shot. The cameras up everywhere. Break. Anyway. So we learned during bowl preparation that Lance Hurd was not with the LSU Tigers, and Brian Kelly was pretty open when he said that Lance Hurd was evaluating his options, and we now know that Lance Hurd looks like he is not returning to LSU because he has officially entered his name into the transfer portal. Today is the deadline for players to enter their name into the portal, and Lance Hurd earlier on Tuesday did, in fact, put his name into the transfer portal, so now teams can openly contact him. There's a couple of things about this, and I know most people, I think, are going to default to playing time. And I get it. This is a 5-star who came to LSU and wants to play left tackle, and all that makes sense. I'm here to tell you, the first report I saw on this was from Billy Enbody from On3, who said that it was an NIL issue. And while playing time may factor into this, this is an NIL issue. Period, paragraph. Period, paragraph. Lance Hurd wanted more money, and apparently he got it. And it's a weird thing because technically, while Lance Hurd is still at LSU, other teams can't contact him. That would be tampering. That would be breaking the rules. But the way around it is basically all of the players have agents or representatives, sometimes a family member, a friend, whatever, who will go on their behalf and solicit offers. I'm just being very candid and telling you how business is done in the NIL world here as we start 2024. So, I mean, Lance Hurd was sitting back, evaluating his options, while somebody on his behalf, no doubt, was, hey man, any interest in Lance? Here's the number. Interested? Okay, got the number he wanted, hit the portal. So I'm sure it won't take long to find out what his destination is going to be. Here is the catch-22. Brian Kelly has said that he wants to build his roster through the high school ranks. And he's right to do that, by the way. You build through the high school ranks and you supplement through the portal. But what we've seen, look at what's happened the last 2 years. Arguably, your two biggest signees of the last 2 years have both left now after their freshman season. A year ago it was Walker Howard. Now it's Lance Hurd. A couple of 5-stars from the state of Louisiana who you were fired up to get when they signed, and they ride the bench for a year and then leave. And look at the numbers and how Brian Kelly has built this roster since he's been here. His first year, 2022, they had 15 high school signees and 15 transfers. Last year, 26 high school signees, 13 transfers. This year, 28 high school signees, 3 transfers. Brian Kelly isn't just telling you, he's showing you. You know, I always say actions speak louder than words. Brian Kelly's showing you. This is how he wants to build his roster. He wants to build through the high school ranks and then supplement with the portal. And that is absolutely the right way to do this. But there's still going to be this scenario that unfolds, unfortunately, every year in every class. There's going to be some highly rated guy that you sign, rides the bench for a year, is going to get a better NIL deal to go somewhere else. He's going to leave. This is just a reality that we're all going to have to come to grips with. Yes, you want a talented player like Lance Hurd to stay at LSU. That's not even debatable. You want Lance Hurd back next year, period. So don't flip this as if I'm saying LSU's better without him. I'm not saying that. I want Lance Hurd back at LSU. I do. He's a big 5-star offensive lineman, big physical guy, can play guard or tackle. You're better with him as an option on your team. But what if he's a backup again in 2024? I mean, you've got Will Campbell and Emory Jones as your tackles who are back. And then what if Garrett Dellinger and Miles Frazier both come back? They haven't announced yet. Then Lance Hurd is a backup again next year. And you want him because he's an injury away. Happened this year. Emory Jones missed the game before the bye against Bama. I think it was the Army game. Lance Hurd started it. I mean, yes, you want that guy. Of course you do. But if NIL is a driving force, are you really willing to commit the resources into a backup that it would take when you have so many priorities in retention and trying to bring in guys via the portal? That's the tough decision to make. I'll tell you point blank. I know Lance Hurd had a nice deal with LSU's collective when he signed out of Neville. It was a 6-figure deal. And if you want more than that after sitting on the bench for a year, I don't know that I can sit here and endorse that. If there's a school, think of it this way. If LSU desperately wanted Lance Hurd back, desperately wanted him back, and made him the priority, could they find enough NIL money to keep him here? Absolutely. But the reality is, here's a guy who sat for a year, could very well be sitting next year, and if your finances have to go into retention and bringing in guys via the portal, are you really willing to invest that much into this player, which is what you have to ask yourself. And the fact that LSU isn't kind of is your answer, isn't it? And I get it, man. I get the way all of our minds work. I get it as well. I'm a fan as well, just like you are. 5-star from Louisiana. You want to hoard all these players, and of course you do. Because not only do you want your first 22 to be great, you want depth, and this is a guy who's a big piece of that. But the way you build your roster is different now. It's not, hey, sit, wait your turn, grow, develop, and when it's your turn, go. It's retention every year is a part of it. And NIL is going to matter a different amount to different players. And so if you're LSU and you don't have the resources of Texas or Ole Miss at this point and what they're doing in NIL, then you have to be smart in the way you allocate your funds. And if a player reveals that what he's most interested in is NIL, then you have to decide, is this player worth keeping? A year, and I'm not saying this was the case, by the way, but a year ago, retaining Harold Perkins was crucial, wasn't it? Guy is a freshman All-America, leads you in sacks. He's a freak show. You cannot let that guy leave. And so you got to do what you do to retain a guy like that. Will Campbell, same thing. And again, I'm not saying, by the way, that those guys, that was a situation last year. I'm just throwing out a hypothetical. But I know that's the case with Lance Hurd. And so if you're LSU, you have to, I say LSU, the collective, however all, you understand that's just a semantics game, right? However all those connective tissue pieces work together. But you don't have unlimited resources, so you have to decide how you want to allocate your funds. And by the fact that they're letting this guy leave, presumably, it kind of is your answer. You got potentially 4 starters back next year. Now, if your offensive line in 24 from left to right is Will Campbell, Garrett Dellinger, DJ Chester, Miles Frazier, Emory Jones, I love that offensive line. I love it. And as far as depth, you've got Kimo Makanaioli, you got Bordelon, Tyree Adams, Mason Lunsford, the Maryland transfer. So you've got some guys who have been around, haven't played a bunch, but guys who've been around. And then you just signed 6 offensive linemen in this class. Weston Davis, Cohen Eccles, Kyrie Lee, Ethan Callaway, Joe Cryer, and Ori Williams. So you've got potentially your 5 starters already. The 4 veterans that I just talked about with Makanaioli, Bordelon, Adams, and Lunsford, that's 9. And then you just signed 6 freshmen in this class. It puts you up to 15 offensive linemen. You've got a 3 deep. Yes, you want to retain Lance Hurd, undeniably. But in the way you're building a class now, you have to ask yourself, at what cost? So now listen, this conversation changes if Garrett Dellinger and Miles Frazier go pro. The conversation changes. But if they return, you're set for next year. I mean, we saw the perils of dumping all of your resources into high school recruiting with A&M in 2022, didn't we? They signed the greatest class ever. And what happened? A year later, half that class was gone. You have to spend your resources in retention and portal. And yeah, you're going to pay some guys coming out of high school. Yes, you are, of course. But retention and portal has got to be where you build your roster. Brian Kelly said it. And this is an example of them very likely making a decision. That if someone came in and offered Lance Hurd a big pile of cash and LSU didn't want to match it or couldn't match it, then he goes. But for 2024, you're fine. If these guys return. And if somebody leaves, then you look to the portal to replace him with some veteran talent. But LSU on the offensive line is going to be just fine. Does it sting? Yes, of course it stings. Do you want Lance Hurd back? Of course you want Lance Hurd back. But you have to ask yourself at what cost. Now, LSU's answer that question for all of us. All right, it's after further review. We're late. Let's grab a quick break. Musaloo Tigers and the Pros next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. Seagoneer Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Buy local, shop local. See our friends at Clegg's Nursery. Of course, you can get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Hey, look, it's a great time of year to get by Clegg's. It's a new year. Maybe you want to give a new look to your lawn, to your outdoor space. Clegg's, it can help you do all that. Walk into any of the Clegg's Nursery locations. Find anybody one of those blue Clegg's Nursery shirts. And you better believe that they're going to help you out. Great time to plant a tree. You know, the cold weather months is a great time. You want to plant a citrus tree, put that tree in the ground that your family will enjoy for generations to come. Clegg's Nursery can help you do it. Remember, they're part of a True Value hardware store, and they got great garden decor as well. If it's wind chimes or bird feeders, if you need doormats or garden flags, all your garden and outdoor decor, they've got you. Johnny Naylor Seeds, it's Clegg's Nursery. Get by any of the 4 locations for more than 60 years. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Ed sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Okay, wrapping up hour number 2. Let's move quickly here. Musso has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
Let's start out locally here. Nick Underhill from New Orleans.football reported earlier this afternoon that the Saints have released Jontre Kirkland from their practice squad. Kirkland now looks for a new destination. Of course, spent time with the Arizona Cardinals on their practice squad, the Houston Roughnecks of the XFL, and then spent this season with the New Orleans Saints. Todd Archer from ESPN reports that La'el Collins...
My name's not Ted Archer. Sorry, I just had. It didn't make a lick of sense.
That did not, yeah.
It didn't make a lick of sense, but I heard Todd. I could have gone, I don't know, Marco. And why is the carpet all wet? So that'd have been better.
That was good. That would have been really good.
Why is the carpet all wet?
Anyway, Todd Archer.
I stepped all out of you. Got a minute left.
Todd Archer is reporting that La'el Collins is returning to the Dallas Cowboys. They will sign him to the practice squad after working him out on Tuesday. Of course, Collins tore his ACL and MCL late last season with the Bengals. They released him in September. He had workouts with the Bills, and that was after working out with the Jets and Giants in October. But now it comes full circle, and he heads back to Dallas. There was some NBA stuff. Tari Eason scored 17 points. Skylar Mays got some action. Nas Reed did too. He should have stayed. That's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, LMFJ.com. That's LMFJ.com. As we move into a new year, gentlemen, if you screwed up Christmas, let them help you get it right. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, hour number 3, Sean Salsbury joins us next. Stick around.
AFR.
I am thrilled to welcome aboard a new sponsor for the first time here in 2024, First South Farm Credit. What they do is pretty easy. They finance land, hunting, recreational property. You know, maybe this hunting season you lease part of a property and you leave in the land and you realize, man, I want my own. First South Farm Credit can help. Make First South Farm Credit your first option. They're a farmer's first option. They're the first in agriculture in Louisiana for 100 years, more than 100 years. Your first call needs to be to First South Farm Credit. First South Farm Credit. You can look more online at firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. So excited to tell you so much more about First South Farm Credit here in 2024. But learn more at firstsouthland.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. If Sunday turns out to be Bill Belichick's last game as Patriots coach, he's not letting anyone know that yet. Amid the speculation about his future, Belichick told WEEI he doesn't get caught up in the uncertainty, just stays focused on the present. New England caps off a third losing season in 4 years Sunday versus the Jets, which comes after comments in March from owner Bob Kraft that it was important to him the team make the playoffs. ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano.
I don't think they've had their heart-to-heart, face-to-face about this yet, and I don't think they will until next week. So it's difficult to predict. Anytime you're trying to predict what a billionaire sports owner will do, but the people around that situation do seem to think that it feels like there's going to be a change.
ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano on Carlin versus Joe. Steelers quarterback Kenny Pickett strongly denied rumors he refused to dress as the backup to Mason Rudolph against the Seahawks on Sunday. He said he was inactive because he was not medically ready to play. Pickett, coming off ankle surgery, will be the QB2 Saturday in Baltimore. Pittsburgh is still in playoff contention.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Wednesday, Lamar Jackson is the MVP, but is he also the player in the league with the most pressure to win a Super Bowl? It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser,
Hey, you know what? It's a new year. I'm okay with you, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're aboard with us. Happy New Year. First show of 2024 for us, and thrilled to be here. And thrilled to kick it off with our buddy Sean Salsbury, of course, on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, Happy New Year. How are you, man? Well, Sean,
Happy New Year, my man.
You
Happy New Year.
you
Well,
are.
good to be on with you. How are you?
Man,
Thank you.
you were part of my holiday, and you don't even know it. I was scrolling TikTok, and a video from the 2004 NFL draft, the Eli Phillip Rivers draft, popped up on my feed where you were interviewing, I can't remember if it was Eli or Phillip, right after all that was happening. Man, I was like, look at my guy, man.
Yeah, it was Eli, man, doing that. I was right in the middle because, Smith was a GM for the Chargers. They were going back and forth what was going on, and They kept coming up and downstairs. It was a fun draft because it was action filled, right? You know, where you're not like waiting around one and the next pick. So I was at the hot spot of that draft, needless to say, with the Eli Manning Rivers situation. So it was a good time, good memories, man. I appreciate it.
Speaking of the draft, what did Michael Penix do for his draft stock in that Sugar Bowl against Texas? I mean, Sean, I've seen him maybe the 5th best quarterback in this draft on some boards. I mean, that was incredibly impressive what we saw on Monday night.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he's so smooth and relaxed doing it. It feels like he yawned his way to 430. You know what I'm saying? It's not that easy. It's not supposed to look that easy, Matty. Trust me. I made it look a lot harder than that when I had even a half decent game. You know what it is? I think what's gone with experience at the position and understanding what all he's been through. Hell, what else could he go through negatively on the injury side? He's been hurt every year until he got to Washington, right?
Yeah.
Knees and all that. And it adds a different perspective. And I know this sounds crazy, but it almost clears clutter from your mind because you're like, there's nothing you guys can do to me that I can't deal with. I blew out my knee twice in college, and I knew when I got back, it was like, yeah, well, I mean, adversity, we're all going to go through it, but you're not going to bury me over a bad game. I'm going to be okay. And so the calm and confidence he shows his teammates, but just on the sheer mechanics of it. The ball, he throws the ball right now as good as anybody I've seen in a long time, down the field with accuracy and giving guys, we talk about how good their receivers are, Matty, but what goes with that is the ability to catch on the right shoulder and run after catches when you see man coverage or in spacing. And he's got the guts, the stones to let him take shots in tight windows. Yet he also is judicious enough where he knows when to throw the shallow cross and the check down or to take off running and make smart plays. I love watching him play. And the coordinator, the way they got it going, the mix. And it does matter, that feeling of you can almost finish your coordinator's sentences. As far as if you're not picking him, I know I had a guy that does this for a living, and I had him put together a really, really good report on some of these the 4 quarterbacks in this championship, Penix and Ewers and Milroe and McCarthy. And if Penix is a 3rd-round pick, then I think we've missed. The only reason I would ever draft that low is if you think the injuries are going to come back to haunt him. Accurate, wins, leads, consistent. Last 2 years, it's not like he had a 1-year wonder. He came back and did it again. In hell, at Indiana, before he got hurt, he was throwing it all over the place too when they gave him a chance. I just think he is a special player he may not even get drafted in the 1st round, but if he doesn't, and if you watch that game, and I would imagine Michigan's physical, that he'll be in a position where, to have opportunities to make throws under pressure from Mentor and the rest of it. I don't know. I mean, all year long, he throws the ball, that intermediate and that rip shot and taking shots down the field about as good as anybody I've seen in college football in a while. He can throw it now. So if you love a guy who's competitive and throw it and been through a lot, you got to take him. I don't have him as the 5th or 6th best quarterback. To me, he's better than that, and his performance shows that, and it's back-to-back years. And he's big enough to where he can take hits, but he's also elusive enough to buy time, which we need now. But his ability to rip it into tight windows is impressive with accuracy.
Do you think age matters? Because he's a 6th-year guy. He's already 23. Do you think? I mean, you mentioned injuries. Do you think NFL teams would look at his age, kind of like with Hendon Hooker a year ago? That became a big storyline.
Oh, I do. It's weird. It's like those minor league pitchers. If you get him at 25, you feel like, oh, he's aging now. When he just may be coming into his own, so he's not a 20-year-old prospect. I think that's overrated because, in truth, we're at a time now with contracts and player empowerment and the rest of it. If you get him when he's 24, 25 years old, you can look at it 2 ways. Glass half full, experienced, been through a lot. I'll take that because he can step right in and play. Or, well, he missed 2 or 3 years. Well, in truth, most of the time, the 2 or 3 years he's learning in the NFL, it's not C.J. Stroud, it's Bryce Young. Rookies are supposed to struggle, right?
Right.
So you kind of, depending on how you look like, and if you're an organization that says we're on the cusp, but we don't need a rookie that we have to grow with right now. We need a rookie that feels like a veteran that's been in the league a while, even though he hasn't. So age can work however you look at it. I do think that you take all things being equal, a 21-year-old or a 24-year-old, 25-year-old, you're going to take the younger guy. But if you're a team that's bordering and you know a guy can handle duress right off the bat, I don't see why Penix wouldn't be a guy you could take. And the injuries and the age will shy people away, but you'll get somebody who loves him in the first 2 rounds, and they'll take him. And don't be surprised if it's a bad team and they leave their glove on the mound, or a decent team and the starter gets hurt that he never gives the job back. I like the kid, always have, and we've been able to see what you do when you get in with a high-powered offense and those weapons, how he can enhance an offense. And it's one of the great gets the last 2 years. A lot of transfer guys have, but Washington getting Penix without him, they're not sniffing this final. As talented as they are, their defense isn't good enough to sniff the final without that passing attack.
He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. LSU kind of had a standalone spot at 11 a.m. Central. Sean, did you get to watch much of ReliaQuest?
I did.
I'm curious what you
did.
thought of Nussmeier.
I watched the whole game. I thought he was really good. I thought, you going in there, you're like, okay, you're in this game. The starter's not playing. The Heisman Trophy guy. You've been there. You got some experience. You understand what you're trying to get accomplished. But it's also an audition, Matt. You and I know this. Those auditions exist all the time. They do. Because Nuss has had some good moments, and he's had some moments that made him the backup quarterback that had them go last 2 years and get Jaden Daniels in the portal. But I like him. I think he's a really good player. I think this is a head start for him into the spring. I think you can at least be comfortable. Now, if we're expecting Jaden Daniels, I'd slow my roll on that and see how this transforms. But Brian going into the spring now, it's a calming effect to know that you got a guy that you can win games with and has experience and has learned behind the best quarterback in the country this year, Heisman Trophy winner, and it also understands your expectations of him. And for Nuss, now he's got to deal with another play caller that's coming in. So he also has a little bit of fortitude. So I thought he was impressive. I thought he made some layered throws. I thought he moved pretty decent, and he's got that ability, and they can use that. It's never going to be Jaden Daniels, but I think he gave you a glimpse, and he has at times already as a Tiger, but he gave me a glimpse into I can expect more from the passing game. I didn't know if he was going to be able to give me that much from the passing game. I think he can elevate, and once he knows it's his gig, I think he kind of be fun to watch. And now Brian Kelly in that system know coming in that you got a guy you can trust at least starting out in the fall. He'll be your starting quarterback unless he falls on his face, I would imagine, over the next 6 months, and then he's got to keep it. But I don't anticipate that. I think it's a comfort zone for Brian Kelly. I was impressed with him and think that LSU's on the right path with him at quarterback. Experience matters, and he's seen enough of it.
John, I know we only got you for a short time. I wanted to get a scenario in here for you for New Orleans going into Week 18. For the Saints to get in, they got to beat Atlanta. And if Carolina beats Tampa, the Saints win the division. If the Saints beat Atlanta. Now, that's, of course, contingent. Or they can get in the wild card if Chicago beats Green Bay and Arizona beats Seattle. Look, man, Arizona went and won in Philly. It's the NFL. We know anything can happen. Where would you put your degree of confidence or probability on the Saints doing what feels pretty improbable right now and finding a way to sneak into the playoffs?
Well, improbable.
Yeah.
Because if Tampa takes care of their business, they're in automatically, right, Matty? They win the division. Correct. So with all these scenarios, here's the thing that bothers me about this is you had your chance you've had chances to secure controlling your own destiny.
Yeah.
It's like the Texans here. They're getting ready to go to Indianapolis, and it's everything. They could still win the division if Jacksonville loses, but you put yourself in position. You don't have to scoreboard watch other teams. Win and you're in. New Orleans does. But it won't matter if they don't win. So you got to go play impressive and then hope you get it. Matty, my rookie year in Seattle, we had played on a Saturday and we had won a handful of games in a row, and David Craig was flaming hot. I'm talking about smoke in the last 6 weeks. David could have closed his eyes, fell on his rear end, got up and thrown, and the ball would have hit one of our guys. You know, when you're going through that, he was as hot as there was. And that was us in Seattle, Denver, the Raiders, Chargers. That was the AFC, the West out there, right, when we were playing my rookie year. And I'll never forget, we played on a Saturday, and we hammered Elway in Denver like 41-17 or 16. Smoked them. And we got to 10 wins. All we had to do on Sunday, because we played that Saturday game, was get one of 3 teams to win. Pittsburgh was one of them. Kansas City was one of them. And there was somebody else. And I'm thinking, as a rookie quarterback, I'm getting this wild card money. I can't wait. We're hot. And we really had one of those going in. We were that team like Buffalo right now. You just don't want to play, right? Because we had Kurt Warner, Largent. We had great defensive players. I mean, we were on fire. It was fun watch. Well, in the one game we needed, Kansas City had 3 special teams touchdowns, a block kick, a return kick, another. It was crazy. Everything that you said can't happen, there's no way we're going to the playoffs, happened. None of them won. Kansas City scored 3 special teams touchdowns, and the season was over. I'm thinking, wouldn't it have been great? So I know this feeling of not controlling your own destiny because one stupid loss earlier in the season or 2 of them. So I don't like their chances. I thought they were the best team in the division coming in, and they've had their ups and downs. I don't like their chances, but like you said, you never know when Arizona can beat Philly, and you watch what's gone on in football this year other than a couple teams and their domination. Anything can happen. It's cliche, but if you don't take care of your business, it won't matter. So go win your game and hope you get a little help, man. Hey, can I ask you real quick, Matty, one question? What's the buzz about Nussmeier in New Orleans and Baton Rouge after this game? I know how I feel. I've read a few things on him. I enjoyed it. I actually need to go back. I taped the game for obvious reasons coming on here and go back and rewatch the whole thing, but I watched the entire game. I'm just curious what the buzz is because you're replacing a star with a guy who's been there and you hope to be a really good player. Is there a big buzz about him, or are they more excited about somebody else?
No,
are
man. So Garrett is he's not only is he a really talented player, right?
Agreed.
But he's the sentimental favorite because he came in stage, Sean. He's waited 3 years, which guys don't do anymore. So people are really rooting for him because he waited his turn to realize all the physical potential he has and have an awesome season. And look, I mean, Sean, they put up 500 yards and 35 points.
Oh, I know.
It didn't
threw
look
it. He
perfect,
ran it.
but
He did,
look at the result.
Oh, he did and he made, we talk about it, Matty, at throws at all levels, right? Right, left, deeper, intermediate, buy some time with your feet. I'm a fan. I love the fact that football's in his, DNA because his pops. I do. That does matter to me. And you make a great point. Isn't it amazing we're sitting up here giving guys credit, and he deserves it because we don't see it much, for sticking around, having one other guy beat you out, and then go get another guy, and then have this come in, and you're go. It's just a constant, and to stay the course, another coaching change, you're getting a new coordinator, and to know your time's finally come. And you know what usually happens? Karma's a good thing when it works in your favor, that you end up saying, look what happened to Milroe. He hasn't left. He was in the – I love guys that do this, and – yeah, I would imagine he's a sentimental favorite, but I'll tell you what, don't feel sorry for him because the guy's a hell of a player, and his talent will finally get a chance to shine because we know they got perimeter people always, and they'll have perimeter people again next year.
The one and only Sean Salsbury. Y'all follow him on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Hey, man, Happy New Year. I know we can only do one segment, but I always appreciate you carving out time for us and our audience, man. You're the best. Thank you.
No problem. I look forward to next week talking about who's winning. You got Washington or Michigan. Who you like?
So I don't know if you were. I was on both Michigan and Washington yesterday. So
I had Michigan, Texas for a buddy of mine, but my initial was I thought Washington had a better chance. I picked Texas on a little bet for fun, but I did have Michigan. I think Michigan's physicality is going to be a problem.
I think Michael Penix is so hard to stop. Like, it's so hard to go against that guy, but Michigan's defensive line, I think, can do what Texas's defensive line couldn't, and that's move Michael Penix off his spot. If Michael Penix can stand and spin it all day, Washington's going to win the game.
If he has a clean jersey, I don't think Michigan can keep up. With all the home run hitting, they can hit singles. They're going to have to shorten the game and hit him in the mouth. If they don't, he's not going to miss many throws, even as good as Michigan's defense is. So just curious, brother. I'll look forward to talking to you next week about it and the playoff picture as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. You're the best.
Appreciate you too, brother.
That is Sean Salsbury. This is After Further Review, brought to you by Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. Hey, remember, it's not too early. The spring baseball and softball leagues right now, registration is open. So go to TractionSports.com. That's TractionSports.com. If your son or daughter wants to play baseball or softball this spring, you can go register right now. They still got their holiday baseball and speed camps as well as we move through the new year. If your son or daughter is out of school right now, looking for something to do, but for the first time ever, the spring softball league registration is open over at TractionSports.com. The pitching clinics started back in December, so it's not too late. Or it's not too early, I should say, to start getting there. It's TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, Traction, where champions are made. Okay, Let me knock out a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about Matt House and his future at LSU.
AFR.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
John Deere green, freedom far as I can see.
After further review powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
3 receivers left, 1 to the right. 5-step drop. Here comes pressure. Running for his life. Again, ball loose. He's brought down. Tigers with the sack, and the Tigers are going to win this football game. Greg Penn got to the quarterback. Tanner Mordecai stripped the ball and brought him down.
Chris Blair on the call, LSU Sports Radio Network, and the LSU defense absolutely, positively just had to have it to preserve that 35-31 lead at the end of the game. They came through in a big spot. So Tigers win. They finish the season with a 35-31 win over Wisconsin in the ReliaQuest Bowl. They get to 10 wins. And Brian Kelly talked about the importance of getting to 10 wins in back-to-back seasons.
I think it really stabilizes the program. Stability within your program, stability within the ranks of your recruitment. For us, it's been, recruiting, development, and retention. And you do that, but you can't do it when you're really effectively, when you're, say, 3-9, or 4-8. But when you have back-to-back 10-win seasons and you're doing it with bowl victories as well that build on it going into the offseason, it certainly helps a lot.
There's truth to that. You heard him say recruiting, retention, and development, and that's how they want to build the roster. It's how they want to build the program, and that is all true. And back-to-back 10-win seasons, I've said it this way a few times, and I mean it. At a place like LSU, you don't hang banners because you won 10 games and won the ReliaQuest Bowl over 7-5 Wisconsin. It's just there are grander expectations and standards here. And that's the way it should be. I will never, ever advocate for lowering that expectation. But there also has to be a dose of realism mixed in, understanding where you were in 2020 and 2021, finishing 5-5 and then 5-6, firing your coach, having a completely depleted roster, and having to come in and rebuild it. And right off the bat, to get you back to not just respectability, but being a top 20, top 15 program. I mean, LSU won that game. They're ranked 13th. LSU's going to finish somewhere right around just outside the top 10. Again, not hanging banners, but it's a dramatically different result than getting your ass beat by Kansas State in the Texas Bowl when you got a receiver playing quarterback. Okay, just understand the dramatic difference with the program then and now. A win against Alabama, an SEC West championship, a Heisman Trophy winner, back-to-back 10-win seasons, you're better. But if you want to take the next step, it is completely fair. If you want to take the next step, it is completely fair and reasonable to ask the question, can you do that with Matt House as your defensive coordinator? And I know what you're going to yell. And the answer is not just no, but hell no. And I don't blame you. I have said all year, you cannot justify retaining Matt House when he just coordinated arguably the worst defense in LSU history. Now, statistically, the 2020 defense is going to be worse. But you played all conference games that year. You played just a full COVID season of 10 conference games. This year you had the Army and the Georgia State, the Grambling games to help your numbers a little bit. But I don't care what issues you had talent-wise. And there were legitimate issues. You missed on your players in the secondary. Okay, you signed 4 cornerbacks and you missed. The Greg Brooks health situation, is personally devastating for that young man who's literally fighting for his life. And I'm not minimizing that in any way. Specifically, just having the football conversation of what Greg Brooks meant. He was the communicator in your back end. He was your best, not only your best safety, he was your best defensive back. Like, losing Greg Brooks was massive on the field for this team, which we don't talk about enough. You thought you were getting an all-conference caliber linebacker in Omar Spates, and it didn't work. Your evaluations missed on a bunch of guys. But even with all of that, there is no excuse to be as bad as you are, to be historically bad, to where every week out there are superlatives and records being set by your opponent. Ole Miss, 700 yards in a game for the first time in their history. Tanner Mordecai set a season high in passing yardage. I mean, every week it was something along those lines. You can't be responsible for that and keep your job. Which is why if Brian Kelly runs this back with Matt House, there is not going to be a single LSU fan that would be okay with that decision. If you're wondering, how would this be received? The old adage is like a fart in church, worse. I mean, how about Number 2 after you ate some bad Chinese in church. Is that too graphic? Was that too much? Maybe too much? Maybe a little too much. But I'm going to tell you this, and there are going to be defensive staff changes. Period, paragraph. And I have said on the record there's going to be at least 2, possibly more on the defensive staff. And we've talked about some of them. Look, the one we've talked about so openly here is the possibility of bringing Corey Raymond back. You can, if you're going to make staff changes, you have to look at your secondary. And I don't mean this in any way to be disrespectful to Robert Steeples and Kerry Cooks. Take this for what it is. They were the position coaches of the worst unit on the field. Like, somebody is going to lose their job. It's the cold reality of coaching. Guys lose their jobs, families get uprooted, they have to move. Corey Raymond's available. My guess is one or both of those guys are going to be gone and they're going to bring Corey Raymond back. That's a guess on my part. But you're going to have a minimum of 2 defensive staff changes. We could look at the defensive line, where that has been a revolving door over the last 3 years. And you went from Andre Carter in 2021 to Jamar Cain in 2022. You thought Cain was coming back, and in the middle of spring, he leaves. Gerald Chapman's your interim. And then you hire Jimmy Lindsey, and Jimmy Lindsey has his unfortunate medical episode. You move John Jancic down to defensive line, and then you bring in Pete Jenkins, and that's 6. That's 6 defensive line coaches since 2021. That's almost unfathomable. And look, I'm sure that Jimmy Lindsey wants to get back on the field and coach again. I don't know if physically he will be able or allowed. I don't know. But it's most likely that he continues in some off-the-field role and you bring in a new defensive line coach. Everyone talks about Bo Davis. Texas lost yesterday, so he's now, you can go have that conversation if you want. I have no idea if Bo Davis would leave. I know there's people internally that are pushing for Corey and people that are pushing for Bo Davis. I know that for a fact. There are people internally, football program, athletic department, that are pushing to bring those 2 guys to Baton Rouge. Can you get that done? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, ultimately, the decision is Brian Kelly's, and contracts have to be done and worked, but you can't maintain the status quo. And I'm going to be very curious to see if you do make those changes. Let's say hypothetically, you do make changes and you bring back Corey Raymond, you get Bo Davis. Hypothetically, okay? Is that enough to satisfy the fan base to run it back another year with Matt House? Because here's something that we don't talk about enough with the Matt House situation. And I've talked about this plenty over the years. And it's the financial component of all of this. The last 3 years have been very expensive in Baton Rouge. You spent $17 million to make Ed Ogeron go away. You committed $100 million to Brian Kelly. You bring in Kim Mulkey. Your women's basketball coach was costing you more than $2 million a year. She wins a national championship, and now she's gotten a raise. You bring in Jay Johnson. He wins a national championship. Now he's gotten a raise. You had to commit 7 years to Matt McMahon after Will Wade was fired. You're building that new training facility on the side of football ops, for recovery and all that sort of stuff. It has been an expensive few years. Matt House, after last year, they added a year to his contract. So in 2024, he's set to make $2 million. Then in 2025, he's set to make $2.1. If they fire Matt House, he's owed 90% of his remaining contract, which means they'd have to get together $3.69 million, if my math is correct, to buy out Matt House. And you might say, well, $3.6 million, yeah, but then you have to go hire a new defensive coordinator. So now you got to just set a match to $3.7 million to make Matt House go away and hire a new one. At what point, and then there's NIL and there's everything, at what point does LSU's booster say, hey, no mas? Like, this isn't just an ATM where you keep printing money. There has to be some responsibility amid all of this. Like, Kim Mulkey, clearly you hit. Jay Johnson, clearly you hit. But if you want to pay a coordinator $2 million and you realize after a year and a half or 2 seasons, hey, this wasn't a great idea, and now you need $4 million to make him go away, like, at some point, there's just going to be, they're going to pump the brakes on it. So, Brian Kelly's between a rock and a hard place here. There's no good, let me say this clearly. There is no justification whatsoever on the field for retaining Matt House. None. There is no good argument on the field at all for bringing back Matt House. As deficient as you were in talent, there's still no reason why you should be historically bad. You still had enough talent on that field to where you should have been competent. And if you were even competent, not great, not even good, just competent. If you were a competent defense, you were a college football playoff team because you had an historic offense with a guy that should have won the Broyles Award and the guy who did win the Heisman Trophy running your offense. All you needed was a competent defense. And Madhouse couldn't deliver it, and he should not be back because of it. There's no justification. In the same way in 2008, you blew out Pivito and Mallory after they were horrendous. In the same way in 2020, you blew out Pelini after he was horrendous. But eventually, all of this stuff costs money, and you keep going and milking the same people over and over. Eventually, they're going to say, I'm not giving you more money. So I don't know what Brian Kelly's going to do. It certainly seems like they're going to retain Matt House. My hope, like bended knee prayer, is that some NFL team comes along and offers Matt House an opportunity to go back to the league if that's what he wants. Listen, he left Kansas City and came to LSU because the impression was go be a Power 5 defensive coordinator and become a head coach, like what Dave Aranda did. But maybe being back here 2 years, maybe Matt House don't want that anymore. Maybe he wants to get back to the NFL. I don't know. We'll see. But the easiest, surest way to rid yourself of the problem that is Matt House right now is hope that after Sunday, when the NFL regular season ends and the bloodletting comes and they start making staff changes and the coaching carousel in the NFL starts spinning, hope somebody comes and hires Matt House away. Because that's your easiest, cleanest way out of this situation with Matt House. But there is no justification for him being back. And if you are thinking of retaining him, you have to ask yourself the question, why? What's really going on? Because the on-field product, there is no justification for it. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement, Michelli.com, with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Go to Michelli.com. Maybe in 2024, if your New Year's resolution is to get a new job, instead of a career that you love, Michelli can help. Michelli.com. Go to Michelli.com. Hit the careers tab right there at the top of the page, and it'll show you all the job openings they have at Michelli Weighing and Measurement. They even have an amazing veterans career program where if you served our country, they're going to help you as part of the DoD Skill Bridge program to help you start your career after your military service. If you're active duty or if you're already a civilian, you can go apply online at Michelli.com. That's Michelli.com for Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Okay, it's after further review, y'all. We're glad to have you aboard. Rolling here through the 5 o'clock hour. Otter will be here in a few minutes for Otter Locks. We'll see what he's got us betting on tonight. It's going to be weird not having football tonight after having football like every night forever. But for Otter Locks. And when we come back, we each caught up on everything with the portal, the draft, all the stuff from earlier today. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
Evening, and the next Evenings at the Renaissance event is this is going to be a really cool one. So a week from tonight, on Tuesday the 9th, from 6:30 to 7:30 in Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel. It's cocktail demonstrations with Sugarfield Spirits. You can learn how to make and taste a classic martini, a cocktail they call the Honey Badger, and their personal favorite, the Bee's Knees. You could purchase your tickets at TallulahRestaurant.com. That's TallulahRestaurant.com. It's Evenings at the Renaissance. The next one's coming up a week from today, Tuesday, at 6:30 p.m. at Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. TallulahRestaurant.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Jeep Grand Cherokee, $10,000 off new Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart...
He just takes the tractor another round and pulls the plow across the ground.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Remember, you can always get to sunequip.com, S-U-N, sunequip.com. Bunkie and below if you want a deer. You're getting it from our friends over at Sunshine, 17 locations, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We appreciate Sunshine. If you're watching us, you see, Paul, can you go to the wide shot? How, like, the set on Tuesdays is like all green. We got John Deere hats. We got a John Deere tractor. We got John Deere panels. Sunshine, your hometown. The green lights for John Deere on the set. Oh, there it is right there. Look at those. Beautiful. Tell you what, Paul. You and those lights. I know you like to play with those lights. They're great. Looks awesome. All right, it's After Further Review. Thanks for being here with us. Real quick, shout out Brian Brzee. The Saints, their recent draft success or lack thereof has been oft criticized. I don't blame you. The Saints have been aggressive and missed on some players. Trevor Penning looks like a total bust. Peyton Turner looks like a total bust. Marcus Davenport, when he was healthy, he was a really good player, but clearly for what you gave up to move up and get him was not worth it. Brian Brzee has really come on here late in his rookie year, and he's got 4.5 sacks now after Sunday, and he now has the Saints team rookie record for sacks for defensive tackles. Cedric Ellis and Sheldon Rankins as rookies had 4 sacks, and now Brzee with 4.5 has overtaken them. There is a caveat, and this is from Pro Football Reference. So Dave Rowe, who was part of the inaugural draft class of the Saints back in 1967, he finished his rookie season with 5.5 sacks, but sacks weren't an official stat kept by the NFL until 1982. So that's a retroactive stat that was kept by a Pro Football Reference. So as it is official, Brian Brzee is now the new rookie sack leader for defensive tackles in Saints history. 4.5 here in his rookie season. So congrats to Brian Brzee. The Saints needed they needed him to be good, and he has been. Now Isaiah Foskey, who they used with a high second-round pick that they got in the Sean Payton deal with Denver, that has not actually been super awesome. So, forgive me, that was the first-round pick was Brzee. The second-round pick from Denver is this year. In any event, okay, it's After Further Review. Ooh, got Eric a new car. Went to South Point, got her a new car. We upgraded the Atlas. So she had an Atlas. She'd been saying she wanted to get in something new. She had the Atlas she was in for 4 years. She got it in 2019, and it was just time. And so we went over to South Point last. I think it was Friday. We went to South Point on Friday. Went to South Point, and they took awesome care of us, man. Shout out to Chris and Brad and the whole gang over there at South Point. They took great care of us, and Erica got it. And she's very specific. She wanted a white Atlas with captain's chairs in the middle, no bench. She wanted captain's chairs. So she wanted a white Atlas with captain's chairs and the Shepherd interior, so the gray, the tan interior, and or Shetland is what they call it, not Shepherd, Shetland, the gray interior. And I'll be darned, they had one on the lot. You're right around town, and there's a lot of car lots that have no inventory. They ain't got that problem at South Point. They got a big dump of inventory right before the new year. So if you're looking for a new vehicle, go see our friends at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer, airline just north of Highland, or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? The college football playoff, what an incredible, we're 2 hours and 44 minutes into the show and haven't even got to talk about the playoff yet. Two incredible football games. I guess sometimes even a blind squirrel finds a nut. I did have Michigan and Washington. Those weren't just my picks. I actually bet money on those teams to win. I loved them both, and it worked out that way. Here was the final call in overtime of that Alabama-Michigan thriller.
4th and goal. Milrow with Williams in the backfield. Can Bama survive? Milrow running straight ahead. He doesn't get it. He goes nowhere. He's tripped up, and the Michigan Wolverines have done it. It's all roses finally for Michigan as they have slayed the Crimson Tide in overtime.
Certainly, that was Joe Tessitore, because if it was going to be that theatrical, it had to be Joe Tessitore. Michigan wins in overtime, and then Kalen DeBoer had a major sphincter check at the end of the Sugar Bowl. Washington was cruising. They were up 2 scores. Texas scored late. They attempted an onside kick. Washington recovered the onside kick, but instead of just taking a knee, they decided to run the football. And on 3rd down, the running back was injured, and it stopped the clock for injury. So instead of running the clock all the way inside of 15 seconds before they punted on 4th down, the clock stopped, and Quinn Ewers in the Texas offense had nearly a full minute, and they drive down to the 12-yard line and had 4 plays, and this was 4th down with 1 second to go.
1 second to go. Texas down 6 at the Washington 13-yard line. Motion out of the backfield. Ewers, heavy pressure, floats it for the end zone, going up to get it. A.D. Mitchell can't. Incomplete. Elijah Jackson in coverage, and the Washington Huskies have held on. The unbeaten season in their final year in the Pac-12, and Washington advances to face Michigan in the CFP National Championship game.
If Texas had completed that pass, would we be talking about the greatest collapse in college football history? Like, there have been dramatic finishes, right? Hail Mary, Flutie to Phelan. We could talk about the Bluegrass Miracle. There's been plenty of those. But considering the stakes, I mean, this is like you're leading. All you have to do is just run out the clock. And you completely bungle the final minute and a half of that game after you recover the onside kick. We would have, I think, is that fair to say, Muse? Do you agree, Paulie? Like, would we have, and I've thought about this, I can't think of another scenario that I would say would have been a greater collapse in college football history, considering the stakes.
Yeah, and you were up by 10 points previously in the game as well. So, I mean, that kind of furthers that. It would definitely be in the conversation.
You just have to run out the clock.
Yeah.
You literally just take a knee 3 times, make them burn 2 timeouts, burn 40 seconds. You punt with 10 seconds to go, 15 seconds. It's over. They get the ball. Best case, you punt, it's a touchback. They get the ball to 20 with 10 seconds and no timeouts. That's a best case. It's over. It's over. And now, the running back, Johnson, like, bro, he was screaming in agony. You play in 6 days, you may not have your starting running back. What the hell? Like, what was
Who's
Caleb DeBoer
really
doing?
good, by the way.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable to see. Be curious to see if that alters the championship game at all. Anyway, it'll be Michigan and Washington. That's a all Big Ten final.
Yeah, all Big Ten final. How about that? You had an all SEC chance to have an all SEC final. You get the all Big Ten final.
All Big Ten final now. Michigan and Washington on Monday. See if Otter's got an early thought on that. We'll get to Otter Locks to wrap up the show next. Thanks for being here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You can always get to Rouse's.com. Rouse's.com. Happy New Year's from a friend over at Rouse's. Hey, real quick, there's a new Lafayette Rouse's coming. And tomorrow, no, forgive me, next Wednesday, it's the 10th. next Wednesday, there's going to be a job fair for the new Lafayette Rouse's Markets starting at 9 a.m. next Wednesday. So if you're in Lafayette or you know people in Lafayette looking for a job or a career, check out our friend over at Rouse's. Also, it's about king cake time as well. You want to get that gourmet king cake. Oh, you could do it with the new gourmet king cakes, 9 new flavors, bananas Foster, wedding cake. Oh, my goodness, red velvet. Have you seen the king cakes that they have, the gourmet king cakes over at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints? For if you're making groceries for your mom and them, or you need all your goodies, you can get it at Rouse's. Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, first show of 2024. First time to welcome on the Oddfather for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and often incomprehensible, the Oddfather himself, Jimmy Otter. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year, Matthew. How about you?
Man, had a pretty good day yesterday, Otter. I missed with LSU and Iowa. Hit with a Fiesta Bowl under, hit with Michigan, hit with Washington, and hit with the over in the Sugar Bowl. So a 4-2 day for your boy yesterday. Not bad. You've been red hot during bowl season as well. Are you sad that bowl season's coming to an end?
Yeah, a little bit, but then a little bit relieved. It's been. I mean, it's a little bit of way more than a headache it used to be. I don't know, man. It's just been it's been tough. I think as we got deeper into the bowls, Matt, we got a little bit more of a read on what was going on. Listen, you're trying to predict sports. It's tough to make a living at it, okay? But, every 20-year-old's going to have good days, bad days, and different days. But the thing is, man, just some of the bowl availability and then this backup that you've never seen before. Some of these guys have played pretty good and some not so much. And even though LSU didn't cover, I thought that line told you the confidence level that they had was not a huge drop-off, a typical drop-off from starter to backup at quarterback.
Yeah. As bad as LSU's defense was, it was bad on bad with the LSU defense and the Wisconsin offense. I didn't think Tanner Mordecai was going to throw for 400 yards.
No, nobody did.
1 minute remaining.
Nobody did. I didn't, for sure. But, man, after losing their opt-outs compared to ours, I was still surprised. He did have a hand injury during the season for a time. He did put up but our defense looked like the defenses that went against him at SMU when he was putting up numbers. So anyway, all right, let's get to it right now. One pick tonight. Okay. One I really do like. It's kind of catching a team in transition. Maybe more light will shine on this as we get into conference play. But Iowa is really, really down this year. Very down. Wisconsin, much better. And they're only laying 5.5, which is maybe a point more than what you get, for home court advantage. I love the Badgers at home -5.5. Buy it to -5.
All right, Wisconsin, buy it to -5. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We're at Modesto on Burbank near Nichols.
Great spot, man. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, see you, Matt.
All right, that is Jimmy Ott. This is After Further Review. Muse Pauly, thanks. Happy New Year. See you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
As we get on down the road, remind you about Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service. ShawbillsTire.com. ShawbillsTire.com. You know where to find them. And in the new year, if you need new tires, you go to Shawbill's because they're going to sell you the best tires for the cheapest price. It's Shawbill's. They've been doing that since 1968. And, yeah, of course, they'll get you in there because they're going to sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. We're talking about name brand tires, right? Bridgestone, Firestone, Michelin, BF Goodrich, the name brand tires, best tires on the road. But when you get there, that's when Shawbill's differentiates themselves. Because there's a lot of places that'll sell you tires. When you go to Shawbill's, they treat you like family. They've been family owned and operated. They'll call you by name. They'll treat you with courtesy and respect. When you're waiting, got a clean room to wait in, Keurig, clean restrooms, TVs, comfortable furniture. Or you can always just come back and get your vehicle whenever it's ready. It's Shawbill's. Find the location nearest you at ShawbillsTire.com. Shawbill's, we keep you rolling.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life